All right, what's going on, guys? This is Just Ashley Keaton, where faith, family, and funny collide. Can I get an amen, y'all?
Amen.
Sound like you judging.
No, I am judging.
They was homosexual and now they are not.
Like, I'm gonna allow you to be your authentic self. So
We don't even ask God permission. We're like, I want this one.
I just want people in the comments to know I know.
Isn't that weird?
You got a group called Black Hebrew Israelites.
There's an affirmation too.
I
Like,
know, ain't nobody helping us.
It's woke Christianity because that's what we do.
Homemade noodles from the store are the best.
We've got a lot going on. Let me just go back and refresh. We're talking about should Christians have guns? We're not gonna get the logo again, but so I'm excited to talk about this topic because, amen, the devil is a liar. He don't want us to. You see what I'm saying? You see what I'm saying? I'm not talking about just the system. I'm talking about the enemy. He trying to stop what's going on here today. So. But yeah, man, I'm excited to talk about this topic. There are a lot of churches that are not really sure how to view this topic with guns. Do we have a lack of faith because we have guns? Should we just stick to prayer and just kind of leave the guns out? Is having guns inside the church a risk? There are certain worries that people have, and we're here to clear up that as much as we possibly can to come together on this. So yeah, I'm excited to talk about it. So, like I said before, I want everybody to go around the room and talk about like why you hate guns so much and why we should ban them all. But yeah, so no more Tony shorts because he's been speaking too much realness, and it's not good for the algorithm. You know what I'm saying? So we're back, from being on our YouTube sabbatical. And we're gonna come back even stronger than before. Amen. Everybody in the audience, amen. So we've got Eric here. I'm glad to have you on, man. So how you feeling today, man?
I'm feeling fantastic. Thanks for having me, Ashley. And I appreciate you attending my range day. I hope you had a great time and everything. And
yes, sir.
you're talking about the algorithm. Well, you're gonna mess up the algorithm now, bringing me on. You're gonna have the FBI algorithm after you. They're gonna have your own filing cabinet at the FBI after they find out you've been with me for an hour. Man. They're gonna be researching you.
Yeah, that's why I got Tony training me, just in case.
They already don't like me already.
It's all good.
Tony talking quiet because he don't want to cause no more issues.
I go to work now. I can't even get another PIV card from DC. I get in the computer like I need to.
Man,
I can't get another access card like I need to now.
We're gonna pray on that and give it to the Lord. He gonna fix it. Yeah, Jason, how you doing today, man?
All right. Getting ready for Thanksgiving. And
yes, sir.
just enjoying life. I think it's going to be exciting. I'm excited. I'm glad Eric's here. And I had a blast on the range day. I didn't even know what to expect. I came totally unprepared for that, and it blew me away. So
I told you we were ready to see something.
I know. I was loving it. Matter of fact, I went and told my dad and everybody else, you got to come next time. So
we've been putting the range day on for 12 years, okay, and even we're unprepared every time. Man. We don't even know.
I love it.
we don't have it figured out half the time.
Y'all got me a lifetime member now.
When they fired that cannon, and man, it was just, I hate to say it was chaos. It wasn't chaos, but I was just like, we supposed to be shooting guns now? Like, is this okay?
Man,
we're shooting guns.
I came and Tony will tell you, I've fired one gun before that day. And then he's like, "What's the gun you wanted me to come get? The big 50 cal. I don't even know my guns, and you want me to fire something." I said, "That's nice. I'll watch that from here." Hey, Ashley, come over here. You gonna shoot this one? I said, "I don't know, man.
No,
I'm not trained for this."
I was watching him because I was with the friend of yours that came.
Yeah, Mike McClure. Yeah.
So we were watching Ashley pick that thing up, and Tony's talking to him, and we're watching that thing slowly drops down to the table.
Man, my arm was shaking so bad.
Muscle fatigue.
You gotta know what you're doing before you pick up that thing.
I was cracking up, and then he switched arms, and shot it.
I said, "I'm supposed to think this thing hot. Look, am I supposed to grab this?"
Aren't you left-handed?
I'm right-handed.
Right. He look here. He wanted to be left-handed that day.
I had to shoot left-handed that day because my left hand got tired. I said, "All right, I gotta take a break."
I feel that thing in the ground, and I told somebody there was the guy that sang the national anthem, who had the long hair.
Yeah.
So he was standing. I mean, he was 10 feet away from that. And we were just talking, and they shot it, and his hair just wilted up. And I love that, you know. But that one you shoot at the range, I can't. It's hard for me to shoot it because it rattles my teeth when we're there because it's indoors.
I have a 16-inch on AR. Matter of fact, I'm gonna credit Eric here to turn on the Smith when he did his meltdown video for the Smith & Wesson MP Sport 15. He actually legit sold me that gun without him knowing that. When he did that whole 803 round meltdown.
Yeah.
With a machine gun lower.
Wow.
Yeah.
That thing actually ran really good. I mean, you know, for a gun in this price range, it's fantastic. Those MMPs are great.
Yeah, so
Never had a problem.
I got one. I run it pretty much as a somewhat of like a special purpose SPR platform in a sense.
Right on.
With like a 1 to 6 variable power optic. But I have a muzzle brake on it, and whoever's around that, you already know how it's gonna happen. They're gonna feel that one.
Dang
As
right.
long as you're not the one. As long as you look here, if you're not the one shooting it, you're gonna feel a concussion from it.
Oh yeah.
Man.
That's right.
Yeah, but I had a good time, man. I walked away with my war scars and all that, you know what I'm saying? So I was like, all right, I'm a man now. You know what I'm saying?
That thing.
I'm a real man.
That thing did happen. Yeah.
You better watch out now.
Yeah,
you called a little piece of jackets falling.
Look, he got tagged one time in the cheek.
Oh, did he?
It happens.
I got that out of my face 2 days later. I was like, what is this?
Look, I'm so used to.
I didn't know what was going on.
I'm so used to every time I'm digging about my arm, everything.
Well, people just walk around just used to it. I said, yeah, I just sitting there like, yeah. Shoot that one over there, Tony. I'm like, what is going on, bro? Y'all just.
Well, now there was the pumpkins, you know, and I think it was the second time that they were opening up. And so, you know, you had the fire line, then you had the tents. There was a piece of pumpkin that was past the tents. And because I watched it come flying over, and I was like, man.
Someone that wanted to hit the top of the tent that was stuck there?
No, this one on the ground. It might have been a piece
of it. It was one that was stuck on top of the tent, too.
Man, those things were. I love that, man. I was like, man.
I think we blew up about 80 pumpkins.
Man.
I bought 2 big old gondolas of pumpkins, and we blew them all up with explosives.
What was our round count?
Oh, you know, I remember one year we got a pretty decent round count, and I think I'm not sure about this last year, but the year before that, I think we ended up logging about 60,000 rounds between everybody, all the vendors, all day. Yeah, there's a lot of lead going down range, boys and girls.
Every year the event gets bigger too, so man, it's even more lead going down range now. Every year the event gets bigger. Got to get another RS. Got to add another RSO into the mix.
There's a lot of ammo.
Yep. So Eric, tell the people what you do and you know how to how to find you and all of that.
Okay. Well, so I've been on YouTube here for about 15 years now. I got a channel called Iraq Veteran 8888, and we do a lot of different gun stuff. I am the Georgia State Director for Gun Owners of America, so I took on that job a few years back here, and that's been going really well. But in terms of the content, you know, we have our Gun Gripe series where we just talk about lots of things that get on our nerves going on in the gun world. Of course, I do a lot of 2A updates and legislative updates, news updates, and things like that. We also have a bunch of gun reviews that we film all the time, our Meltdown series, our Top 5 Gun series that we've been doing, a lot of our reloading and gunsmithing content we've been doing. So we're a multifaceted channel that we do a whole lot of different stuff. Now, I'm banned on Facebook, but you can find me on Twitter, Iraq Veteran 8888 on Twitter, and then also Iraq Veteran 8888_official on Instagram. But I'm shadow banned. You have to type in the entire handle or it won't show up. So, yeah. But we've, you know, been at this for 15 years. It's been a long time coming, long time going. But, you know, I love what I do. And, you know, yeah, 2.7 million subscribers. Been at it for quite a while. 750 million views, 750 million views over the course of the channel. So it's been a long road, and I'm blessed. I'm lucky. You know, I don't take it for granted. It's been interesting for sure.
I could definitely attest it. I've been following him since I'm about like, I'm 31. I've been following him since I'm like 17, 18.
Oh.
Yeah.
Since he started, don't throw numbers out there. Just say since I was young. You know?
Yeah.
Make people feel old over here.
Yeah.
Been at it a long time.
He's been in the game for a long time.
Yeah, wow, 15 years.
Was it back in the Moss Pond days?
That's right. Back in the Moss Pond days. Yeah.
So
Back at Barry and me in the pawn shop, and you know, just kind of ranting behind the gun counter. That's how we got started with it.
Wow.
Yeah, man.
No less.
So we met. To answer this, we met because one of his closest friends, who he deployed with, actually sold me my house.
Really?
So then he calls me one day and say, "Hey, I know you have range safety experience and everything, you know." Like, yeah, man. So because I haven't talked to man for a while, man. He hit me up one day out of blue, you know, while I was at work. He said, "I know you have range safety experience, man. We got this big event coming up and everything. You familiar with Eric? I ran Barrier 88." I'm like, "Yeah, man. Yeah, I'll be out there shooting. No, say less."
Well, I know when I came out, Mike kept talking about Eric this and Eric that. And who is this Eric guy? Like, I was waiting for him to come down with angel wings and a halo, you know. And here's this guy with sunglasses on and kind of, you know, you can't see now. He's got a sweatshirt on.
And the Hoochie Daddy shorts on.
He got the Hoochie Man shorts on.
He ready to go, boy.
Yeah, man, I had the Hoochie Man shorts. I know.
I was told by the boss, like, hey.
So I ain't work out these legs for nothing.
I was told by the boss, hey, RSO, y'all can't be letting them on.
It is what it is, man. I mean.
RSO, y'all can't be letting nobody on the range with short shorts. Here come Eric, gonna violate the rules, man. God. No, I'm like, I can't, like, Brett, I can't deal with that. I can't enforce that. He's the boss.
Hey.
I can't deal with that.
Hey, you know, like, if I'm not wearing proper range attire, you know, I guess people can just call me what they want, but I want to be comfortable.
Man, he was just about wearing Marine Corps silkies at that point, man.
You can wear
He's
whatever
really
you want.
not wrong.
They ain't gonna try you though.
Well, yeah. They can always leave, right?
You can wear a leotard as long as you know how to use your equipment.
Yeah. Oddly enough, when we took the Humvee around, and I did we shot the 50 cal off the Humvee.
Yeah.
A hot piece of brass came down and landed on my leg and gave me a nice little burn. I'm thinking, well, you know, even if I was wearing pants, I don't know, I'd probably still get burned by 50 cal brass. I think it's pretty hot.
Yeah.
I was like, you know, that's a risk I'm willing to accept. I just want to be comfortable, you know.
Yeah, man.
Sun's out, guns out, you know.
Yeah, sun's out, guns out.
Guns were definitely out that day.
Heck yeah, man.
And many days prior.
Yeah.
So now the controversy a lot of times, and I'll let y'all, you know, speak about this, but like in a lot of churches and, you know, schools, like a lot of places really, they feel like, well, I'll specifically speak about churches. There's a view that, you know, if people come into churches, you know, we don't need guns. Like people don't, there's a certain, you know, a few people, you know, out there that they feel like we don't need guns as people that believe in God because, you know, the Lord will fight our battles, and they use certain verses like that, and you know that having weapons is kind of like a lack of faith. And I'm sure, like, you know, we've all had conversations like, you know, I don't want to buy a gun. We don't need guns. Like, why do you feel like you need a gun? Da 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 da. You know. So, how do y'all feel about that when people come to you and they say like, well, I like to have faith in that God will protect me, so we don't need guns and stuff like that. Like, what would you say to that, you know?
Well, my answer would be that the Bible says if you don't have a sword, you better sell your cloak and buy one. I mean, and that, to me, that says everything it needs to say right there.
Wow.
And the thing is, now, people always say that it's something that actually happens to them until it hits their front door.
Yeah.
That's true.
All of my clients I had have said the same thing. They didn't think they need a gun until something happens to them, until something hit home, to a family member, to either they got robbed or a family member, or either they got robbed or a family member, you know, was killed or something like that, you know, or they were some way, shape, or form they were a victim of a crime or witness a crime. Nobody ever thinks. The thing is, nobody ever thinks it's going to happen to them until it happens. You can't control the day, time, and hour something's going to happen to you. You can't control what the next person around you wants to do, you know. The only thing you can do is learn preparedness and how to properly deal with the situation. And the thing is, people don't understand how much of a dirty world this really is.
Yeah.
I mean, I grew up in a place that was pretty much like consecutive, like murder capital of the whole country, you know. If you know, you know. New Orleans. That says enough right there. No matter where you go, you can always be a target at any given point in time. And here it's no different now.
It's true. You know, like when you look at in the biblical sense, right? David, you know, killed Goliath with a fancy slingshot with a rock, right? I mean, like, I'm sure if he had a gun, he would have shot Goliath.
I say there wouldn't be a gun if there wasn't a slingshot.
I
would call that the first gun. That slingshot is the first gun.
I mean, he hurled a rock at him and killed him with a rock, you know?
Yeah.
They say it's like getting shot with a 40.
Three smooth stones.
Cain killed Abel with a rock, right? And did God blame the rock? No, he blamed the person that used the rock.
Exactly.
It's like, you can't place the blame on the tool. You can only place the blame on the perpetrator of the act.
It's just like you're talking rocks. Like, they didn't have guns, they had rocks. So guess what they used? Rocks and clubs and their hands. So, we're not talking about killing people,
right.
Just murder, that's murder versus self-defense. But the point is, you get rid of the guns, now you've still got weapons out there. It's just, knives. You're going to get rid of knives,
In fact, did they try that in the UK? And how did that work out for them?
I don't know of any country that has, look at, I'm getting into the political part, but you can't have guns in Russia, in China. So you look at the totalitarian regimes of those and how the people, we won't get into all that, but you've got no recourse of action, no way to defend yourself at all, because the whole point of them having that in the Constitution was to protect ourselves from the government. That's kind of the point of that. And people can say what they want, but we're looking at it now, and government's they're not our friends. They're somebody's friends, they're just not our friends,
I could agree.
We look at, they just had Chinese Xi Jinping rolled out the red carpet for this man. They literally had a soldier holding a communist China flag. They hung Chinese flags all down the corridor of them pulling in. Like, where are we at? Where we have no patriotic pride, where we allow another nation to come in and let their sovereignty supplant ours. And that's how it felt. Like we were bowing the knee to somebody who really has no care for people, and hate to go down a rabbit hole with that.
Like I said, one like that before 2021, but
Right.
What's up, Bree, Dalibon, Nakia, and Kamalia? Y'all stay locked, man. We about to, if everybody could do me a favor and like the video, it's the best way to help us out with
and don't be stingy with that like button.
Yeah, don't be stingy with that like button.
Like
Come
button.
on now. It's free. We can't tell who liked the video if y'all scared to show yourselves. But you need to show yourself. No, just like. And also subscribe if you're feeling it.
I do want to comment real quick on
the
the setup you got here, man. Like, it's a really professional setup. I really like the way you got this. This is nice.
Man. Thank you.
I need to take some notes. Okay, you'd think I'd have my crap together by now, but I kind of just fly by the seat of my pants. Everybody thinks that everything we do on the YouTube channel is just fine, polished production, and I suppose we've thrown together a pretty decent video here and there, but it's always just been a couple of rednecks with some cameras, and it's really, I swear, it's nothing fancy. There's no magic juju. But this is nice, man. I like your setup.
Whatever it is, it's been working for you for how many years now?
Yeah,
it's been working.
15 years.
I'm just saying.
Hey, some people make it work with a phone.
Yeah.
And
that's all they got.
That I have to say about the range day, like outside of the guns and fire and all that, the people were fantastic there.
Oh yeah.
Like, Like it was a mixed crowd of if you were just to take a picture of them, and you got the long beards, and you got all the stereotypes there. But man, the camaraderie, the conversations were just all great, and I think that goes a long way. Like that's the culture that we want to live in. I think And
all the people with the guns, the people that everybody scared of.
Maybe that's why we all got along.
Yeah, and we all just chill. We're having good conversations, and even when we're talking about things that we may not see eye to eye on, it's more of a reasoning thing. Yeah. And it's just having a cool, calm, collect conversation. And you would think, like, people get scared to come to events like that where, I was thinking, man, if something were to actually happen, all these people are prepared. So that's the worst place to do it in. So why would somebody come to that event to cause an issue? You know what I'm saying? So, but even the people that are crazy, they go to the places where they have those signs, no guns allowed and stuff like that. Why do the craziest people still go there? They're still too scared to come to those type of events.
Soft targets.
Yeah.
Soft targets. Like just like all the school shooters, we've been hitting on this for a while now. The thing is, the way to fix the problem is they want to sit here and ban guns and all this stuff. No, that's not how you fix the problem. How you fix the problem is up your security. Physical security is always one of the biggest defeats, right? I mean, one of the biggest defeats against an adversary. You know, let's see, schools now, metal detectors, pretty much access control points, security fencing, armed security guards. That's how you stop a threat from coming to the school, shooting up the place. That's the only way to stop that.
Yeah.
That's the only way to stop that.
But I mean, it's.
Matter of fact, hold on one second. You remember the Reverend Steyer? He's on Marietta PD Major Brian Marshall. He told me he has Marietta PD officers up in there. They carry rifles. They carry rifles in deployable packs, ready to go.
I wanted to look this up right here. I want to make sure I had the guy's name right. So, so you remember Jack Wilson, the guy that, he was in church, okay? And the church shooter tried to come in and shoot up the church or whatever, and Jack Wilson pulled out his pistol and dealt with the issue, and he saved the congregation. So, getting back to like
that good aim. Right?
Yes.
Yeah, I remember that.
So that's why the training comes into place and everything like that. And when you're in an environment where you got all these people that innocent people you don't want to hurt and everything like that, that's where that training comes into play. And you were asking earlier about, well, should churchgoers carry pistols? Should we not rely on faith? And, look, these are all valid questions, right? I mean, there are a lot of people that can take it so far as they say that, well, I'm not going to use any modern medicine because, God will save me or my faith will save me or whatever. And that's fine, right? People can all have their different views, but I think we all agree that if you're having a headache, you can have a Tylenol. Like, it's okay, right? Like, we have modern science and modern conveniences that can help us and things. And people take that all different types of ways. However, same thing on the security front, right? Okay, so a certain congregation, maybe they don't want everybody carrying guns. That's fine. Doesn't mean you can't have a couple of armed guards, like he was mentioning, and have everybody safe, And then you got a guy like Jack Wilson who's, in the crowd doing his thing. He was prepared. He was ready. He was. And, had they not had, firearms, there's no telling what could have happened.
I think at that moment, though, he only had I don't know how many, he had like a few amount of bullets. Because of a
6-shooter, I thought.
Was it a 6-shooter?
I think he shot a 10 millimeter or something.
Is still true. The principle,
Let me see.
The principle, what you're saying is still true. I was just curious as to how many, what could have happened with that particular situation.
Because I saw that, if it's the video I'm thinking of, like he dropped him in one shot, basically 1 or 2 shots.
Yeah,
he didn't hesitate at all, but the guy had already got off a few rounds. He ended up killing him.
Yeah, he did.
He killed one person, I think, right?
He was carrying a 12-gauge shotgun.
Let's see. The perpetrator shot and killed 2 members of the church before he was fatally shot by Jack Wilson, the head of the church's security. And this is just right off Wikipedia. Ending the attack within 6 seconds. The victims were Anton Wallace, age 64, and Richard White, age 67. Wilson is a firearms instructor and a former reserve deputy in Hood County, Texas. I was going to see if it talked about what type of gun he used, but I suppose it's irrelevant, right?
Yeah.
The fact is he had his gun and he dealt with the problem.
It's 6 seconds from start to finish.
6 seconds.
That's why I'm glad that Tony comes out. He goes.
And I believe it was a cranium shot as well. So it was, an incapacitating instant shot. So
good old T-box.
Look, it takes a lot of wherewithal to do that under stress.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
for sure.
That's why we train. That's why we train hard, man. Like, we've been doing this for. I've been doing this for long since I was 10 years old, man.
It's a fact.
Yeah, I get after it.
I wanted to read this verse real quick, just so, because I've never heard of it. When you brought it up, I was like, man, I'm gonna commit that to memory now, because that's a good that's interesting. So in Luke 22 verse 36, then said he unto them, but now he that hath the purse, let him take it, and likewise his scrip. And he that hath no sword, let him sell his garment and buy one. For I say unto you that this that is written must yet be accomplished in me. There's something else. I don't know the full context of it, but the fact that that's in there, I was like, man, that he wants us to be prepared,
right?
Like they look at Ephesians 6 and 12, and you know, and the rest of it, you know, have your sword, have your armor and all that. And it's crazy that you could just take that spiritually, and that the physical, the most literal sense of that would be a problem. You know, why would God use an analogy that's sin and say some sin should be spiritually done? You know, so it's like there's that right there makes me like, for God to say that, period. You know, it's like he's not going to use some sin to form an analogy for something spiritual. You know, but it's just interesting how people look at it. But I've never heard of that verse, so I was like, that's that's really interesting. I'm glad you brought that up.
And, you know, I didn't have it like word for word, but I always commit that one to memory because it's a great one to throw out there because it's true.
I think you bring up a good point with that. Like we look at everything else we do by faith. We still go to work, right? God provides for us, but we still got to get to go to work. So I think this is as a husband and father, we're to be providers and protectors.
Right.
Well, I mean, you could do hand-to-hand combat, sure, you know, but we've all heard the phrase "bringing a knife to a gunfight," kind of thing, you know, and so I think it's you know my duty to provide that best protection. Now you could go the other way and just be 100%. If it's my time, it's my time.
Right.
No problem with that, but I think you should make best efforts, you know, and
Exactly.
I don't think you should own it and not be trained on it. I think that you need to be responsible with that. You know, I saw a video the other day of some kids at a little birthday party, and they were just, you know, doing all this, and I was like, you know, that's the problem. You know, it's not you legally owned gun owners that are you know, that abide by the laws and do all these things. It's the careless, the people that just don't care, and but I think that goes a long way. And I like that scripture, and you know, faith without works is dead. You know, so
faith is a heck of a thing. You know, when you think about faith, you know, whether it's faith in God or whatever, you remove that from the scenario and just look at faith in the way you carry out your duties in your everyday life, right? You know, yeah, I know that I have to go to work every day, that I have to go do my job, right? I have faith that I'm going to get in my car and drive to work and perform my job and do what I need to do and then come home. But you know what? There might be other plans, right? What if I get in a car accident and die? Or what if something happens? I mean, there's so many things negatively that can happen in our everyday lives that even living is to live by faith, because you can't, because every day is not guaranteed. You can't just assume that tomorrow is going to be yours, because it might not be, you know? So it's like that faith in your everyday life, it becomes a part of a mantra of the way you live your life as a Christian, you know, that faith is your armor. When you're talking about the armor, wear the armor of God, have the sword. Like, there's figurative things that go into the explanation of it too, not just the literal sense, right? You know, to go forth and wear the armor of God means to go forth in life and know that even if something bad happens to you, that you're going to be shielded from the terrors of sin and the terrors of, you know, not being saved. You know, and that's the way I've always tried to look at it. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe that's the wrong perspective. But, you know, it's a little bit open to interpretation. And I think that's what's so beautiful about it. Like, you know, you can interpret it any way that helps you live your life in the best way, to be the best version of yourself you can be, and to be the best Christian you can be, and ultimately to be the best man or woman you can be, you know? I think that's
sound like you're preaching to me.
Well, that's just
I wish I had my organ now.
the way I look at it, you know. That's my look, you know.
Hallelujah. Everybody in the chat say amen. Amen. Wear the armor of God. All right, we already got some amens. Logged off podcast in the building. What's up, y'all?
One should always have faith, but you need to operate this world with common sense too.
I think that's what they call the blind faith. What people use.
Saying.
What you were talking about. I think that's where people go wrong. That blind faith, just faith like, hey man, God gonna take care of me. Like, whoa, if you gonna quit your job and just say God gonna take care of you, like, slow down, brother. Have a plan. You know what I'm saying? Put a gun in your car.
It requires some effort. It sure does.
You know, so you're gonna just up and quit your job because you just depending solely on faith, and guess what? When your car get repoed, don't go crying nobody else come to your rescue. You know?
Yep.
There's
God
something to
like,
be said for that.
Faith was like, I ain't say that. Yeah,
for sure. There's something to be said for that. I mean, like, when you look at the gifts that we're given, you know, and the blessings that we receive, and you know, God does bless us in a lot of ways, Ashley. and sometimes there are ways that we cannot necessarily always understand. You know, but if you squander that, you will be punished for it in the long term. So it's like it's important to understand when you're being taught a lesson, and you know, look at like Daniel in the lion's den. Like he thought that he was doomed. You know what I mean? He just didn't know, but he had the faith. So it's just like all of those lessons in the Bible, you know, are so interesting to look at the way that you're meant to receive them. You know, really cool. I love it.
Yeah. Yep. And it's like certain situations where you're not prepared, you know, where you drop the ball. It's like, you know, I think that's the situation where I would say that's the situation where God, he'll intercede. And I mean, he's always there anyways, but like, you know, Daniel in the lion's den, right? You know, God will definitely put you in situations where it's like there's nothing you can do, right? Just to test your faith, to make your faith stronger. But in the meantime, why not? Well, I mean, why that shouldn't be a reason to lax. And I think that's where people get it confused because, like you said, that story of Daniel in the lion's den was definitely for a specific purpose to show us, like, you know, that we can still end up in situations where there's nothing we can do and God will get us through it. But we shouldn't take that as a what do they call it?
Shouldn't apply to every scenario.
It shouldn't apply to every scenario. There's what you call I always forget the two words. It's really simple. Like I forget what the word is, but it's like the Bible shows you what happened, and then the Bible shows you certain times what you need to do. I forget the words, but I'll think about it later. But
I just call it.
But you get what I'm saying.
I just call it being naive.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely.
It is. It's like being a baby. You know, you know, we all went to school. You know, the I before E, well, except for C. You know, what I mean, just all those kind of rules. And I think you're taught something, and so you just take it at face value, and you. It's kind of the difference between knowledge, understanding, and wisdom. Mm-hmm. You know, knowledge is like an accumulation of facts. Understanding is how to use those facts, and wisdom is when to use those things. You know, but that only comes through maturity and but you know, you see a lot of people that get in church and they're hungry and they're going hard, and then they hit a brick wall and that they're unprepared for it. But you know, but that's part of the process. You know, you got to get through it. But you're right; it's a little bit of naivety and
that's true.
Ignorance, probably a little bit.
And experience is our best teacher.
Oh,
so,
yes.
like, you know, we sometimes we make mistakes and we learn from those mistakes, and it's okay to make a mistake in life. We all do. It happens to all of us. We're all human, and sometimes it's okay to go, hey, I made a mistake. I learned from it, and we move on. You know.
Yeah. No,
just makes us better people to try and, you know, move forward.
That's what you do.
Find me someone who hasn't made a mistake.
Yeah. Yeah, let he who is freed from sin cast the first stone.
Right.
No one can, because no one is free of it. No. And that's the thing. None of us are perfect. There is no perfect, well, there is one perfect person, but none of us are perfect. No. And we know that.
So the kid was asking.
Yeah. You want me to read it?
Yeah, Matthew 26.
Matthew 26 and 52. She wants us to read this and get our comments on it. Then Jesus said unto him, put up again thy sword into his place, for all they that take the sword shall perish with the sword. Now this is a verse that a lot of people use.
That's a controversy right there.
Yep. But I wanted to read this verse before it. And behold, one of them which were with Jesus stretched out his hand and drew his sword and struck a servant of the high priest and smote off his ear. So that's that moment where you cut the guy's ear off. Then it says, put up the sword if you...
See you on camera.
Oh, yeah.
Sorry about that, guys.
I'm narrating Eric's thoughts right now. No,
Get on your job.
For all they that take the sword... For all they that take the sword shall perish with the sword. Yeah, that's an interesting verse. Anybody want to comment on that one? Because I'm not really...
Yeah. I'll take it. I don't mind
I think that what it really comes down to is the things that you hold true in life. You have to understand that there are going to be consequences to that, right? To live by the sword is to die by the sword. And it's true, right? Because that means that your honor is going to follow you to the grave, right? Yeah. If you're forced to, defend yourself throughout your entire life, you live by the sword, right? Mm-hmm. I use my sword as a tool. I use my gun as a tool, whatever the tool may be, but I'm going to protect myself. There may come a time that it's going to cost me. I may not win. I may not win in the end. But if that's the mantra in which I live my life, and that's the tool I choose to use, then I have to accept that ultimately it could be the tool that's my undoing as well. That's the way I try to perceive it.
Because I think I look at scriptures like that, especially in that context where they're taking Jesus, and the drawing of the sword is to defend him essentially. So they're trying to, because it's Peter that does the cutting, and they want to rescue Jesus at this point. It's not, I think a lot of times we read scripture, and especially when it talks about persecution and suffering, a lot of times that we think just because in life we suffer that it's for His glory, and it's sometimes it's just because you're stupid. You've made a stupid mistake.
That's true.
And so I think when you look at that in context, it's that you're not going to increase the kingdom of God with a sword. Like we can conquer Canada right now. I mean, you literally could just move up there and conquer it. But we can't go up there with a gun and say, hey, you need to be saved or we're going to kill you. To me, when I read those scriptures, that's what it's kind of leaned more in that direction.
You can make a lot of people speak in tongues that way.
Right.
They might get the Holy Ghost for real.
Hey, don't put that in a short.
Sorry.
It's true.
Let me rewind that.
Yeah, so
I got my way of breaking that down too.
So I think that's what a lot of times when you read those scriptures, people kind of get those confused and say, well, you shouldn't have a gun at all. You shouldn't defend yourself at all. But no, we're not trying to progress the kingdom that way. That the kingdom is grown through love and conversation and kindness and things like that. You can't force somebody into this, and you shouldn't. You shouldn't force somebody into anything. But I think that's kind of where that scripture is kind of referring. It's like, hey, put the sword away because this ain't going to help you, Mm-hmm. And if you become a martyr, and that's what I want to remind people too. Like all the disciples were murdered. Like let's not forget that. None of them. They died, and
right. Some very gruesome ways, actually.
It was horrible ways, and now, so in that sense, like if let's say that we're out here and we're marching for Jesus, something like that, or we're in a foreign country on a missionary work, that's a whole different vibe there. That's a different approach, right? You've got regimes you can go places in South America, that first of all you probably wouldn't even get a gun in there, but second of all. It's just not the way it's supposed to be spread, and you're going to get taken. Should you defend yourself at that point? I mean, I don't know. I've read the stories, and a lot of those martyrs, I think what they did was they followed Jesus' example, and said, I'm following in his steps. I'm not going to fight back. I'm going to take it, and that's going to be it, And so I think there's something to say to that as well. But it kind of goes back to what we said in the beginning. It's a choice. Like, if you choose that way, then that's fine. I'm just choosing a different way. I'm choosing that I'm going to do everything I can to defend, my faith and my family, but I'm also not going to be aggressive with it and try to, come into your house and say, you believe Jesus or else I'll kill you. I think that's crossing some bad lines.
I think that's a fair point.
That's like I said. That's the radicalization piece of it right there. We talk about, it's just like
Tony, be careful, man.
I'm trying, dog.
Come on, man. No,
that's like
they don't really get us for the podcast too much yet.
That's like over there. Let me take ISIS for instance. If you don't believe in radical Islam, Sharia law, what were they doing over there? What were they doing? They were burning Christians.
Yeah.
They were throwing the gay guys off the building. What else were they doing?
Yeah.
Stoning people
to death still. Yeah. That's the radicalization piece of it.
Yeah.
So, my view, so the words I was looking for, I had to chat GPT this thing. It's so simple, but I couldn't think of the words. So there are certain things in the Bible that are...
What?
Chat GPT. It's a verb now, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a verb.
You remember how that worked out last
really
time
true.
that was brought up?
That was Brittany using Chat GPT. Whatever she did, ain't got nothing to do with me. Chat GPT is a resource. Okay,
Carry
so
on. Just carry
the
on.
word is prescriptive and descriptive. That's what I was looking for. Very simple words. But prerequisite always pops in my brain. I can't think of the words. So certain things in the Bible are prescriptive. And certain things are descriptive. So this right here is kind of descriptive and prescriptive at the same time because Jesus already told them what was going to happen. And he went upon himself to kind of go against what now you're living by the sword. Because I already told you what was going to happen and you're going against that. You're trying to stop it from happening. You're cutting off the man's ear. You should have just sat there and let it happen but you know, the emotion gets tied into it. Now you're not living by God's will. You're making your own will. So you're living by the sword. So you're going to die by the sword. So now the sword is your God because that has priority over every situation. So it's like if we took our gun, like he said, if we took our guns and they became our God, that to me would be living by our guns. But to have a gun and to use it when necessary, it's the same thing as locking your door. Are we living by locked doors? Or do we just lock them to protect ourselves? I think it's a very big difference you have to make. Even in this story where he's cutting the man's ear off, Jesus was speaking not only about that in the vacuum, so people can just say, hey guys, you can't have a gun because you're living by a gun. You got people in gangs and stuff that live by their guns. Right. They live by their squad and they conquer and they try to take over, right?
And
that's totally different than us peacefully trying to just protect ourselves and fight for freedom, fight for justice. Jesus didn't tell those people that he told to kill. He didn't tell them that they were living by their sword then. He told them to do it. So, I mean, I don't know. I didn't know what to say when she brought that up at first, but I just...
That's a good point. It's a good scripture. I mean,
Yeah.
That's one that gets brought up a lot.
Yeah.
And it's a valid point.
Yeah.
All day.
And you bring up an astute observation. That's a very astute observation. I've never really heard it explained in that way, so that's enlightening to me to hear it, you know, discussed in that manner. So, well done on that.
Thank you, sir. It's all glory to God.
Thanks,
Amen.
That's right.
GPT for that.
Thank you, Chat GPT. I didn't get the whole response from Chat GPT. You got it from just those 2 words, you know?
Yeah, 'cause I can promise you, I knew plenty of people I grew up knowing plenty of people that truly live by that sword, and it didn't work out well for them.
Yeah, and I think that's a difference, you know?
Look here, they're 6 feet buried, or they're serving multiple life sentences.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Now, you make a living by your guns,
a lot of them been
but
caught
you don't
in
live
Rico
by
cases.
your guns. So that's
Right.
the difference, too.
You know, I'm glad you brought that up. So
Yep.
it's kind of like the way I try to rationalize it is that what I necessarily deal in with what I do on the channel and what I do in my everyday life, yes, I promote guns, right? I promote the lifestyle of the Second Amendment. I promote hunting and fishing and outdoors and self-preparedness and, you know, just being ready, right? But I think what I'm really trying to get through to people is that they should value their self-preservation. And tools or the guns are simply a tool for them to establish their self-preservation, to protect themselves. So I don't promote guns from a sense of wanting people to go out and do harm to other people. I just want people to understand their rights and their responsibilities and to understand that guns are a very effective tool in defending yourself. And, you know, yeah, if someone's trying to hurt you, you need to be able to protect yourself. And the world is getting to be a scarier and scarier place every day. I mean, look at all the violence that's in the world now. Look at all the wars that are going on. Look at all of this craziness that it feels like humanity is in a giant bubbling kettle that's about to just boil over. And sometimes you think, gosh, where is the sanity? Where are the adults here? Where are all the sane people in the world right now? And the media, you know, they want to force you to pay attention to certain things that are going on in the world, and they want to, you know, gaslight you and blow the dog whistle. But at the end of the day, you have to not look with the digital eyes that they force you to look with. You have to look with the literal eyes you have in your head, and you have to go, hey, what is happening in the world around me? What do I see around me right now? Who is here? What are they doing? And I think that the truth of the matter is that most people understand that their immediate world that they live in, that they have a great degree of relative control over what's going on in their lives. And the people around them are generally amicable and everything's good. You know, the media would make it seem like there's a bunch of racism and crap going on, that there's all this division and burning cars on every street corner. But the truth of the matter is, do you see that in your everyday life? Do you see that when you go to the grocery store? Do you see that when you go about in your day-to-day life? You see that at your church? No, you don't. So the fact of the matter is, when we look at firearms as a tool, they are actually an extremely low baseline tool that are a part of a much greater social issue or social responsibility that I think people are waking up more and more to every single day. And that's why my channel, that's what I do,
So let me ask this, because how long has this Second Amendment argument been going on? Just in general. Like
1791.
Since the beginning, basically.
Right.
Wow. And because I've never done any kind of research on it or anything like that. It just occurred to me, like, we hear a lot about it. I've grown, grown up in the 80s, 90s, and that kind of stuff. You've heard it kind of in various different iterations over the years, but I wasn't sure actually when it began on, like, hey, guns are a problem kind of thing, when the argument was made. And, because I guess I grew up on it. Like, my granddad had them. He brings out there, from shotguns to BB gun, all of that. And so I was always, as comfortable as you can be around them. I don't think you should ever be, like, comfortable to a careless point. But
absolutely,
I was just kind of curious as to if that's a modern era thing or if it's just kind of recycled like everything else.
That's a valid question. I think that what it comes down to as well is that there's such a lack of value for human life. For and that's what it all comes down to. When I was young, if we had an issue, we met in the yard and we handled it.
That's right.
We might have got a little bloody nose or, ripped up each other's clothes a little bit, but you know what? We'd live to fight another day. And honestly, what wound up happening is a couple of weeks later, probably end up being really good friends with that person after you got in a little scrap with him. Kind of like, hey, you're a jerk, but you know what? You can scrap. And you kind of get a little mutual respect for that person.
Yeah.
But now it's like there's no value for human life. There's no love in the household. There's no mutual bond between mother and father and child and children and brother and sister. And I know that's a hippie way to look at it, and people might say, "Well, you're just a dreamer." But the fact of the matter is, when people say this nuclear household, this nuclear family unit and everything like that, that's why all of the systems that are in place are wanting to destroy that so badly, because they know that a mother and father in a household raising, good children with good morals and good values, that they can't turn into the little bastards of society that do all this crazy bad things.
That's too much strong society that they don't want.
Right.
Yeah, and I had read a book called The Creature from Jekyll Island. It doesn't really do anything about guns. It's about economics and power. And I've said that. I've talked about the emasculation of men in this country for the last, I want to say, since the 90s, that I began to recognize, at least in the 2000s.
Yeah.
It all started in Hollywood, in my opinion.
And then what you're talking about with the break-in of the families and this disunity, because you started seeing, they pit this group against that group, and then I said, man, that's a game. I said, unity is the power we have. It's in our vote.
That's right.
Get rid of these politicians. Just I'm not even talking about in Washington, these counties around here.
That's where you're more affected on a local level.
Yeah. That's where our power is, and I think that in an ideal world we wouldn't need weapons, we wouldn't need all this. But like I said, the general lack of life and respect of it. Maybe Hollywood, maybe music, and maybe all that plays a role. I've never been one to blame, put it all on one, because I think we're all, at the end of the day, you're responsible for you, and for me, I have to live my own life and make my own decisions, and but I've just, in the last few years, I wasn't even political until probably 4 or 5 years ago, and I was like, I don't know, I'm getting kind of frustrated with this going on. Like when Trump hit office, I was so shocked that Trump got it, because it was Trump and Hillary, and I was like, Hillary's going to take it, she's going to get it. Went to bed that night and I woke up and I was like, what did we just do? But
they weren't expecting it.
No, not at all. I was like, this is a joke, right? But one of the things too is weak leadership. I think that as men, we're all men here. It's our responsibility. To step up and play that role and fulfill our role. And I know this is probably a little bit off topic on the weaponry and guns and stuff like that, but I think it's a package deal.
It plays into it. It really does. It really does. It plays a vital role into it.
I think my argument would also be that, when we think about government and, this leader, that leader, I would even argue that that we're all our own leaders. We're all the own leaders of our own life. We're responsible for our actions. We're responsible for our families. We're responsible for the things that we do. We are beholden to the decisions that we make, good and bad, right? If we make a good decision, we have the good ramifications that come along with it. If we make a bad decision, we have to suffer the consequences of that bad decision. And I think that in our society, in this modern society, we've become so, tribal that we have to go under the Republican flag or the Democrat flag, and we have to all get under our little banners and wear our little colors, and we forget that governments and movements and society start at the individual, right? At the core level, you still have to be a good person in order to make up what that movement is going to be. And I think that that's what we're finding is people don't quite, I believe, completely grasp the concept of critical thinking and really trying to gather all the facts and the data and make good, sound decisions that aren't based on just the will of the party, but based on what your morals and principles tell you is right in your heart. And sometimes those lines blur between Democrat and Republican. And I think a lot of people in this country, especially, I think there's maybe about 20 or 30% of us that are kind of in the middle a bit. And I don't mean that in a bad way, but I think the true nuance is more in the center than it is on either side of that spectrum.
Yeah, because I've never been... I've always probably leaned more conservative, but I've never adhered to a party line. Like, if you think about the logic of that, like, just look at that from an outside perspective, you literally can vote for whoever you want. You don't have to be a member of that party, but they serve it up on a platter to us. Here, who you going to pick, And I get it from a numbers perspective and things like that. Like, if
you got good candidates, it's okay.
Yeah, and so... it doesn't matter, to me, how you vote and how, these things. I just think a lot of things happen without our consent these days, and that's what I'm just like. I'm the kind of person like if you ask me to do something, all day long, tell me to do it. I'm going to do the opposite of what you tell me.
Right.
And I feel like that's what the government's doing now is they want to handcuff us and tell us what we need to do. And I just hold on. You're my servant. You're my employee. You work for me.
Yeah.
And so, and I mean, it's a whole other high level. Like that book I was talking about, the Creature from Jekyll Island, really describes that. And it's a really good book. I had to put it down after every chapter because I'd be so ill. It made me so mad because you just don't realize, like, I think your average person either doesn't. It's kind of outside, out of mind things, And I think kind of bringing it back to the Second Amendment stuff. On your average, like you were saying, we're not seeing burning cars down the street here, right? So we're not faced with this danger on a daily basis. Most of us, there are areas that you're in, obviously, that are more high risk than others, and so you have a different environment there. But your average, everyday, normal human isn't concerned with self-defense. So it's easy in this country to go, no problem.
And around the whole nation, holistically, there's something bad going on somewhere that they can point at and make it seem like it's happening everywhere when really it's just isolated incidents that are, as I say, very isolated, very limited, very rare, right?
They really are.
If it was a culture of it, you'd be seeing the news and everywhere cover stuff every day. But you don't even see it on the news every day. You see the news like every once in a while, there will be some officer attack a black man, and then it's like this happens it's like whoa. Let's not take it out of perspective. Like we're not gonna go into all the statistics. Just you look up Larry Elder or somebody, you're gonna understand. But it's just the emotional part. Let's say that it is happening on that type in that type of way, like. What is the solution then? You know what I'm saying? So it's not, they did it to us, so we're going to do it to them. I was like, okay, well, get rid of your Bible.
That's totally what they want, though.
Yep.
Yeah.
They want to fight fire with fire mentality.
Yeah, and they oh, man, the word
divide and
gymnastics
conquer
behind it well, we have to speak to them in their language, and their language is violent. I was like, bro, if you don't get out of here with that stupid stuff,
Well, it's like I went to
that kills me, man.
a mall, downtown, Buckhead, and
Just say Lennox, man. God. Just say Lennox, bro.
I'm trying to,
Yeah,
Like,
Lennox
don't catch
toe
me,
up anyway.
We know what
man.
you're talking about, bro. When you
But-
say mall downtown, and when you say mall in Buckhead, we already know what you're talking about.
I do like
He
Lennox.
shops there. You gotta be careful.
Well, I had to
You don't
go.
wanna see him at Lennox.
I had to go. We had to go pick something up, and so I knew I'd been there. It's been a while, and they had the metal detectors at the entrance, and so I didn't carry when I went in because I was expecting, well, they weren't there. And so I go to the Apple Store, and there's not one but two armed to the teeth security guards in the store now, in the front, one top, one bottom. And I'm not talking about they've got a sidearm, the bulletproof vest. They are ready for whatever.
Yeah, they stepped it up.
Wow.
And then I go to the food court. So in the little escalator, there's two of them. You take one down. They're scanning you there. They're scanning you twice. And I was like, and I don't know if those were just metal detectors or if it was more of a 3D scan because they had somebody at the bottom on the laptop.
Yeah, it was more of a 3D scan because I've been through the same one before. Because actually, that one time I went through that with my neighbors at the California Pizza Kitchen. I was carrying a 1911 at the time.
Turn his up a little bit.
You ain't hiding
black
that
one.
iron.
Look, I was carrying a 1911
They're
at the
gonna
time.
find that.
Like
Look, I was carrying
75.
1911 at the time. Security guard looked at me. His
about
eyes
like
just lit up.
75.
I saw him look at the computer. His eyes just lit up. I showed my badge. I was like, he was like, okay, cool. Because he realized I was law enforcement. He's like, okay, cool.
Yeah, but it's
I saw his eyes just get huge. Like,
because to me, and
You ain't
then
hiding that.
no.
but that came about. We know how that came about.
Yeah.
We had the riots when Keisha Bottoms was down there marching. Right, that set it off.
Talking
And
about
then
that
she didn't
20
back
all
up
that
the police.
2020,
She
yeah.
didn't back up the police. They quit, and all this crime is happening down there.
You know, I was there when that
And-
started.
Yeah, I think you were. Yeah,
I was right. I was
Yeah.
working down there
Yeah.
right when they was turning up CNN. I was like right there.
Yeah.
Hmm.
So
Boom
now,
cars.
but we get punished as civilians, as average everyday citizens. I've got to be inspected for just to go eat at a mall.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a little bit. That's kind of what I was getting at with the
Yeah.
heightened security. Like, at what point do we become a military state, and are we one step away from being a Russia, China, North Korea kind of mentality because we're so afraid? Like I just refuse to be fearful. I just, and again, like I'm not fearful because I carry or I don't carry. Like, because my philosophy is this: you might get me, but you don't. If you don't kill me, well, you're not gonna come back for more. Like for instance, years ago I was doing construction, and so I had a toolbox on my truck, and I was pulling into a Wendy's. And they laid on this horn, and I was just having one of those days where it's the wrong day. So I pull in, I get out, I said, "Come on back." And there was a whole car full of them, and so they stopped and started to turn around. I'm gonna get my hammer out because I didn't have a gun at that time. So because I knew I'm gonna get the driver because he's the one that honked at me. The rest of them gonna get me, but I'm gonna get him. And they left. They didn't come around. And thankfully, it was somebody I knew was just playing around with me. And they said once they saw me go into my toolbox and pull that out, they're like, let's not do that.
Look, they
So
don't know.
it was you know.
Look, they don't know. They don't know that Jason is on the cover hot boy. They don't know that.
Oh,
Jason
my
he's on the
God.
cover hot boy.
I just I'm not gonna live like that, and I think that's where we get into this mentality where we're so afraid to live, we're afraid to say stuff, even on here we're getting banned because we say stuff, and it's like this is not right.
It's something that we like to call security theater, right? When you look at, the TSA, you're going through the airport.
Yep.
I mean, think about how easy it would be for someone to do something stupid at an airport if they really wanted to. Right?
It would be very easy.
Especially, you're sitting here with your socks, right, with your shoes off and your jacket off and everything off your body, and you're going through these metal detectors. It's security theater. It's there to make you have a false sense of security, right? And that's the same thing to say for those metal detectors at the mall. I mean, they want people to feel that because there's security involved, that there's a reason to be afraid.
Yeah.
But the reality is most people don't go throughout their lives just feeling afraid. I mean, it always gets me how the anti-gun people always say, well, why are you carrying a gun? Are you afraid? Oh, well, no, it's quite the opposite. I'm actually not afraid of anything.
We
'cause
good.
I'm good.
We good.
We're just not stupid.
That's right.
If something happens, look here, you gonna be happy I am carrying that gun, you know?
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't carry a gun because I'm afraid. I carry a gun because I'm not afraid.
Did you guys read that?
So I don't have to be.
that article. So this, and I can't remember how the story went down, but so this lady was getting mugged or something like that, and the guy came to help her, and he shot the gun in the air. I think this is in New York, L.A. or something like that. Shoots the gun in the air, scares the guy off, and so he gets arrested because he's firing in the city limits or something like that. And then she goes about and says, "I wish he hadn't used the gun," kind of thing. And so in the commentary was like, "So you'd rather have died?" Like, you know, like that's the mentality there. Like this guy, like you were talking about, you know, I was there to help. Well, what happens when I'm not there to help? You know, and then again, it goes back to the protection and things like that.
So then what do you do? You just want to just go on ahead and mind on business, let you get hit up? That's what you want us to do?
Right. You know, it's like that. Just be thankful that you're not dead.
Right.
Right. So, hope we're not getting too off topic.
Because
no,
here's the thing here, right? Me working in the law enforcement side of the spectrum, I carry a firearm to one, defend myself, defend people around me, defend my partners, and then also I got to make it back to the house at the end of the night.
Right.
You know, I'm a single parent. I'm a single parent, take care of a young daughter. You know.
No, absolutely. And
I got to make sure I'm on point. I'm doing what I'm supposed to do, so I could be able to take care of my child. You know.
And I wanted to pull up this Instagram post that Mr. Guns and Gear shared earlier.
Well, I was about to mention that. I was
Yeah.
about to mention that.
Yeah. So. Yeah, the guy, the father in California that saved his baby, and you know he had to use the gun to defend himself, and then California turned around and took his carry permit away.
They took his own weapons permit. I'm like, are you serious?
Yeah, I saw that.
Well, that's the purpose of the permit, so you can protect yourself, and then they're going to take it away when you actually use it? Come on.
Can't he sue them for that?
Well, I'm sure. I mean, it's California.
You know what their excuse was? He got loud with the police.
Yeah, that's right.
He got loud with the sheriff's department.
He smarted off.
Like,
Well, he did what he had to do, though.
Right.
Shoot.
Yeah, I saw the video.
You got to protect your kids, you know.
He like threw coffee on him or something, and then they had a gun too. So it wasn't like he just pulled on him.
And guess what? They fired first.
Did they fire first?
They fired first.
But you know, and he
complete legit self-defense.
Exactly.
You know.
100%.
I think that might be Judy. So just wanted to ask, like, as far as owning guns and stuff, like, what do you think, like, if there should be any, like, as far as the limits? Like, we got, you know, the pistols, we got the I think what is illegal to own?
Not really a whole lot.
Not really a lot. Let me tell you like this here.
Like, you got cannons, you got.
Let me tell you like this here.
They have this going all the way with.
Tanks, I think.
As long as you got the proper money, and the clean background, you can own a fully automatic weapon. As you were seeing that during range day.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, because they got the one where it's
that tax stamp not
let
cheap.
it go, and that's you know what I'm saying.
Yeah, the binary trigger.
Is that what it's called?
The one back and forth?
Yeah.
I love that. I didn't hit nothing with that gun, by the way. But I love shooting it.
So, look,
I was like a kid.
I think it's important to sort of make the distinction about the reality of the United States, okay, and the country we live in. And I'm just going to make a statement, and I think it's going to put everything in perspective for you.
Speak on it, Eric.
Everything is legal for a price.
Speak on it, Eric.
You summed up the whole country with that.
Eric,
that's the truth.
That's what I just, you know.
Everything is legal for a price. Like, there's always a path to get somewhere, right? And okay, you're walking down the path and a door is closed. Well, a certain amount of money will open that door. It's like upgrading as you go. I mean, like, so for instance, our manufacturing license, I think it's like $3,500 a year to renew it and to keep it. Right, so like we can make machine guns. We have a manufacturing license. We can make SPSs, SBRs, machine guns. We can produce our own firearms. We can do all this stuff. We can make ammo. We can do all this stuff. But of course, we have to pay, you know, the crown $3,500 a year to not get arrested for it. So it's like, if I did all of that stuff and didn't have the licensing, then they would try to come after you or whatever.
They'll hit you about 10. They'll hit you with about 10 years.
Yeah, for every one they find, you know, and that's the
federal
thing.
time.
So it's like, I guess the answer is, you know, to play the game.
Yeah.
Well, if there's a path, well, then I'm going to find the path and open the door and walk through the door. And unfortunately, that's the way that our country is kind of set up. Like everything that you do or don't do is under the threat of violence. Okay? If you don't obey the law, some guys in a van are going to pull up and gun you down. That's the mentality. Now, whether or not that's true in practice, right? One could argue, okay, well, Waco, you know, they went and shot up the Branch Davidians at Waco and sort of made an example of them. There's all these kind of things like Ruby Ridge. I mean, you look at all of these instances in the past where the government has used excessive force, okay, to prove a point or whatever. So now, again, when we look at the situation where, all right, a policeman guns down a black man, and then the media makes us believe that that is something that maybe happens all the time, right? That maybe, all right, whether or not it's an isolated incident or not, let's just assume that, okay, maybe they had to dig deep to find that, and every day those things aren't happening, right? They just had to really look for that instance and use it as a dog whistle to bait people and make them mad at each other, right? So is that to say that Ruby Ridges and Wacos are happening every single day, and that if you do the slightest little thing wrong, some men are going to, you know, jump through the freaking window here with some, you know, like you see in the movies, and come in and, you know, and arrest you and shoot the dog in the face? No, it's not quite like that. But the reality is there's a pathway to everything. Everything that society views as being wrong, illegal, immoral, sinful, there is a path for it to be legal in the United States in many, many ways. There are not a lot of things you can't do.
It involves money.
Yeah.
It involves money. It involves money. It involves taxes. Bottom line, just like what happened with the whole brace ban,
right?
Which I just got screwed on that.
Brace ban.
The whole pistol brace thing.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. That happened back in May.
Yeah.
Right.
So I got screwed because I have a SBR tax stamp that's still been sitting in limbo since May 24th. And what month are we in now? And I already paid my $200 tax stamp out and gave my fingerprints up. But as soon as they finally, then the Fifth Circuit, what's that judge name? Was it Reed O'Connor?
I don't remember the name of the judge.
Yeah, but he filed a injunction for just on Firearms Policy Coalition.
Right, FPC, GOA, and SAF. Well, now it's a nationwide injunction that covers everybody. So it's like they made a molehill into a mountain, and then it went back down to less than a molehill.
And let me tell you how stupid this is. Cause I showed somebody this at the range earlier. My guy that works for Marketplace, I showed him this earlier. If you put a butt stock, I have 11.5 inch Aero Precision SBR. If you put the butt stock on, it's an SBR. We take the butt stock off and put a pistol brace on, it's a pistol. But it's still the same gun that does the same exact thing. It still functions the same with the same zeroing and it still has the same ballistic data.
Right.
I'll
leave you with just one thought regarding that, okay? And within the gun context, and then I'll leave it at this or whatever.
It's ignorant.
And it is ignorant. And the amount of time that I've been going to ranges and things and shooting and doing all kind of stuff within the gun industry for over 20 years, right? I've been a shooter for over 30 years. Never once at a range have I ever had anyone from the government walk up to me and request to look at some tax paperwork or some receipt. Never once has a single person ever asked me for anything like that. So, again, you have to wonder, is it just the boogeyman, like you're jumping in shadows, when really, like, a law only has the teeth of what the enforcement is willing to undergo to enforce that law.
No.
And do they really enforce it? Well, I mean, imagine if they told you that it was illegal to speed and you never got pulled over for speeding in 30 years, even though you drove 150 miles an hour everywhere you went. After a while, you think they're full of crap. This isn't illegal because no one enforces it. There's your answer. At the holistic level, there's your answer.
No, here's the funny part. I actually have a client. I actually trained with that South River Gun Club up the road. I met him at Shots Fired in Covington. He's running an Aero Precision builder. He's showing me that. I meet this guy. He's showing me, hey, this is my build. You know, I got the tax stamp for this, but I'm like, dude, if you don't get out my face with that, because he thinks just because I'm law enforcement, I'm gonna really care.
Right.
Like, dude, that's not my lane. I don't care.
Again, to use, I don't know, a Bible quote. I'm pretty sure this is a Bible quote. Is to say there will be wars and rumors of wars. Look, it's the same thing.
Fear mongering.
It's fear mongering. That's all it is. They're trying to make you afraid But really, the reality is that what you're doing is not wrong. Whether you paid the freaking fee or not is irrelevant.
And I just feel like I just got out of some money. That's how I feel right now.
It is.
That's their job.
It's a life tax. That's what it is.
Yeah.
It's a life tax.
Yeah.
So
And every time I call up there, well, your paperwork is good and everything. We're backlogged. Really? We've been backlogged since May.
man.
We've been backlogged since May 24th. Really?
Yeah.
Man.
So
I wonder if I can
digress.
sue them for that.
if the government tried to take away everybody's guns, like, what would be the best plan?
Oh, like that's really
Would
gonna,
it
like
work?
that's really gonna work.
Is there any possible way that could ever work?
I don't know.
It's we have more guns than we have people. No, that's not gonna work.
Well, I think the best way to approach that question, Ashley, is to say, well, how did the lockdowns and the mandates go?
A lot of
There you
pushback.
go.
Yeah, so,
There's
so
your
they're
answer.
really
A lot
so
of
they're really
pushback.
already trying their best. It seems like they're already doing everything they
Yeah.
can.
How did the mask
to do that.
mask shenanigans go? How did the lockdowns go? How did people comply? They complied for a while.
Right.
But after a while, they got restless and they're like, you know what? This is bullcrap.
they
We're
put
ready
their
for
foot
things
down.
to go back to normal. So in the short term, yeah, if they said, turn them in tomorrow, we're rounding them all up, there's probably a certain amount of people that would just voluntarily turn them in because they don't want the trouble.
Yeah.
But as we all know, just like you saw with the COOF, people aren't going to put up with it forever.
to be able to speak about COVID-19 and say it and not get in trouble for it, boy, it's refreshing. Yeah, man, it's like sometimes you just gotta take a second and breathe. You know what I mean? Yes,
The only thing I enjoyed about-
COVID-19.
And we can breathe.
I enjoyed the no traffic. That's what
I'm
enjoyed.
telling you, man.
Now that
Like,
was
was
good.
good.
I was thinking,
man.
I was thinking to move, man.
After that no traffic, it picked up tremendously. Yeah. I'm driving somewhere. I'm like, it's 10 a.m., bro. Like, we should be good.
It goes all the way back to what you were saying earlier. Hey, if you say, for the betterment of humanity, let's make this suggestion that maybe this is something we could agree to do. All right, I'll make that choice, though. I'm going to apply my logic and my mental acumen to the situation. I'm going to make a critical decision based on X, Y, Z. Don't tell me to do it, though.
Right.
Americans don't like being told what to do.
No, they don't.
And I think that no matter whether it's you're talking about gun confiscation, you're talking about lockdowns and mandates, or you're talking about all these armed, IRS agents that they're hiring, and look, no matter what, no one likes being told.
Training? Huh? Have you seen that training?
I have.
Man, it look ate up, man.
No one likes being told what to do.
It look ate up.
No.
It's true.
No, and I don't think it would go over well. I really don't.
Heck
No,
no.
don't. We got to remind ourselves what happened throughout time when governments disarmed the populations and how that worked out. What happened? Yeah. What happened during the Holocaust when the Nazis disarmed Jews? What happened when how should I put this? I'm trying to say this correctly. What happened when Native Americans were so-called disarmed? How did that work out?
Right.
It definitely wasn't for their safety.
No.
None of their safety.
So we got to constantly remind ourselves that when they want to disarm you, what's the real play they're trying to go ahead and put forward?
Because I met a guy that was.
We don't know the answer to that question.
We know the answer to that question.
I met a guy that was in the military, and it's always stuck with me. So because I was in people's homes, so I like one of the unique things I think that I've had over my life is I get to see people in their home of all demographics, from your average level where we're at to venture capitalists and that kind of level stuff. And you can see how people live and interact with them. And so he said, I would rather be in a ditch in America than anywhere else in another country. And we were talking, and he was like, the doc, what do you call it, doc master or something like that. So you know how we do the aid and all that kind of stuff over here. We sent a bunch of food. He said, a lot of that, it's thrown off the dock in the water. He said, unless you pay that dock master to get it, and even then, it doesn't necessarily get to where you think it's going to go. Mm-hmm. And so he's like, put me in a ditch over here. And that's saying a lot, because we're spoiled over here. We don't appreciate to be able to say, I hate America, right? You can't do that in China, another country. You don't say that.
And you live here. That's the stupid part.
Right. Yeah. If you don't like, you can leave. Just go wherever you think is better. That's my thing. Go wherever you think. And
you can't say.
And I try to tell people this. That's why I try. Like I said, some people might take this wrong way, but I tell people, if we lived in a place where, at the age of 18, every able-bodied person would be forced to join the military, it'll show you a lot of perspective, especially you go overseas. Especially you go overseas, you see how people live over there.
Yep.
Like I said, he's been in Iraq. I've been in Afghanistan. We see how they live over there.
Oh yeah.
You don't want none of that. I promise you. You don't want none of that.
We were and I've been to Jamaica. Well, I've been to Mexico and Jamaica. So Jamaica, we were in Kingston, and it's just I had never seen lifelong poverty like that. Like, we've got the shelters here, and they got the tents, and that's bad.
You can blame the local governments for that.
It was. I mean, it was dangerous. Don't get me wrong. Like, they told us don't go anywhere unescorted. We still ended up doing it. Me and Ashley's dad somehow ended up on a street corner, and but we went into this. It was like a lean-to. I don't even have to say it's a shack. It had rooms in it, but it was just a lean-to, and we went and prayed for somebody. It was, if I remember right, she didn't have any. She was bedridden, no arms, no legs. Like, she had lived her whole life like that. Like, that's poverty, and y'all probably have seen worse than that. When we stayed in Acapulco in Mexico, and I remember when you leave that resort, it's a whole other world. It's true. Like, the dogs were starving, like that kind of thing. So it just put everything in perspective for me. Like, when you come over here, how much we need to appreciate the things we have over here. And like I said, being able to live in a country, criticize the leaders, and they're starting to push back on that. That one guy went to jail for posting that stuff about Hillary, the memes and that kind of stuff. So it's like we've got to get control of this. Like,
was that here?
It was here, yeah.
And
And
they
they
tried
tried to
do that
spin
in
it.
Canada. I didn't know you could do that.
Yeah, they tried to spin it like it was some kind of election interference, some nonsense like that.
You piss off Hillary, she's going to
Man,
get you out of here.
look, we already know who's doing the real election interference.
We know.
I shouldn't have said that.
Yeah.
Now, that's the one thing that worries me about when they're like the previous election, and I'm thinking, the fact that this man, Biden got more votes than ever. I was like,
Can I elaborate on a piece of that?
what's gonna happen in the future? You know what I'm saying? Now, because we had a discussion about, like, I'm gonna let you speak, like,
yeah.
But we had a discussion about, like, should we vote and stuff like that with, because some Christians, that there's a debate there too, that we shouldn't vote because, the world's gonna get worse anyways. There's that whole argument. But I'm that's the only thing that makes me think, like, okay, maybe we should probably still vote anyways. But there is a worry about, like, man, if from my understanding, something had to happen, because I know they have some hatred for Trump. But I'm just thinking there are some people that, like, from everybody I talk to, man, I'm not even voting. I don't have no candidates in the game. That's what I keep hearing. So it's like, how did this man get that many votes when I hear a lot of people saying I'm not voting at all, that have a problem with Trump? And I'm thinking, is this going to be a problem in the future when we vote?
There is no way that old white man got more votes than Barack
Man, let me
Obama.
tell you this here.
And Hillary combined, I think.
No way.
That's what
Should
it
we
was, right?
Should we
There's no
discuss
way.
the whole State Farm Arena situation where there's supposed to be a so-called flood and everything's supposed to have been shut down? And they're supposed to have been shut down, but all of a sudden now, 2:00 in the morning hit, you get all these votes for Biden, not like maybe 1 or 2 for Trump. Now, come on.
Oh,
and
man.
they're actually on camera, still in the place where we shut down, they're actually still on camera counting votes.
Yeah.
But nobody want to talk about that piece of it.
And they just discovered it here in Fulton County. They confirmed that it was voter fraud here. In Georgia.
But they don't want to talk about that part though.
No, you won't hear about it.
2024 is going to be interesting.
And the thing is, a lot of
You
stuff
think that can happen again, or you think there's
Man,
a plan in place?
I think
to
they're
fix
wise
it?
to it.
Let me
now.
tell you something. Like back when COVID first started, right? When they were talking about the whole absentee ballot thing, I already knew the rig was going to be set. Reason being, because when Obama ran for his second term, I was in Fort Leonard Wood going through basic training actually, and I did the whole absentee ballot thing. Mine never went through. Yeah, mine never went through. Never made it.
Yeah, that's because most military ballots are conservative votes.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I truly believe that. Well, we're going to get canceled.
Oh, man.
Bye. He's going back to the original. Yeah,
Next topic.
I'm bad for the algorithm.
Man, look.
Your channel's going to go.
Look here. They
Put that on Rumble and cut it out.
Look, they try. Look here. We'll find another way around that. We'll find a way around and make the snapback happen.
That's right.
We'll bounce back and snap that thing back in place.
I've seen the whole Steven Crowder thing, and because he brought up a lot of stuff about, I'll say, yeeted people got to speak up. So y'all know what that means. I say yeeted, like yeet, delete button. They hit the delete button on their lives. I mean, they're not living, is what I'm saying, and they got to speak on the election. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So some of those got through. So I'm hearing stuff about that.
Oh yeah, we seen dead people vote Democrat before.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. So I wanted to switch it up a little bit. So I got some gun riddles. This is gonna be pretty interesting. So
You got the right people up here for that.
Yep. So you gotta do some thinking. You know what I'm saying? Cause, so I have like a few of them that I wanted to read and see if y'all can figure this out. And if y'all got the answer in the chat, put it in the chat. You know what I'm saying? So this is called imposter. So there are two people in front of you holding guns. One is your best friend, and the other is an imposter who looks like him and knows all that he knows. You also have a gun and must shoot the imposter. If you get it wrong, the imposter will shoot you. If you get it right, you and your friend are safe. What is the one question you would ask that will reveal the imposter? Now, I don't know if this would apply in real life, but for the riddle, it's like, what's the one question you would ask? Because he knows all that you know. He knows all that your friend knows. And they both have guns.
Who's our second grade teacher?
Who was our second?
Who's
He
our
knows
second
all
grade
that.
teacher?
He knows all.
He knows
that.
all that?
Yeah, he knows that too. He didn't know. He knew about the second grade teacher. So there's one question that you would say, you know, or you can, you know, ask him to do something, or there's one question that you will say to this person, to try to reveal who the imposter is.
I'm so terrible at these. That's a bad thing to ask me. I suck at these types of things.
This is because it's not one of those riddles where it's like a popsicle stick type thing.
Yeah.
It's like you got to do some critical thinking on this.
Yeah, dang.
You know what I'm saying? It's like the show. Like, this is what I love about like certain shows where they get to a point and it's like, oh man, sometimes you can figure out what's gonna happen next. It's like, I already know he's gonna do this, but when you get to that position, it's like, man, what? How is he gonna figure this out? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like,
Right,
for a
but he
show,
knows
what
everything
do.
you know.
He knows everything. Well, he knows everything your friend knows. So he knows everything your friend knows. But and they both have guns. And it's like, he's the imposter. He's the imposter. So you got to shoot the right person. But
Do they have the same gun?
They have the same gun. And you have to ask one question that's going to reveal who the person is. And we've got other riddles.
I'm drawing a blank.
If we need to just
God, I feel dumb.
Think
I bet
about
it's
a
something
real,
dumb too, isn't it?
Think about a real situation. You know what I'm saying? Like, try to get real practical. Like, maybe you would be, you know, it's like you got the pencil and the notebook.
You can shoot both of them.
Matter of fact, that was actually the first option.
Dang, so that's what you would
All
have
right,
to,
bro.
That was the first option. Look, we ain't got time for this.
In a real life scenario, that's what you'd have to. Now, this is your best friend.
No, you wouldn't do that, man.
In a real life scenario. I think the answer's pretty good, but I don't know how. We could talk about how realistic it would be, but if we're a movie, it would definitely work.
Okay, hit us.
Okay.
I feel like it's going to be dumb. I'm going to feel like an idiot.
Ask them to drop the gun. The imposter will not do so.
I was just thinking something like that.
Ask them,
Man.
both you guys drop the guns. Your friend would drop the gun, and the imposter wouldn't, and you could shoot the imposter. But
Okay.
in real
may be
life, that's a
It
little
may be.
risky.
Yeah.
But for a movie, that'll definitely work. You know
Yeah.
what I'm
Or
saying?
maybe the friend would shoot the imposter when you told him to drop the gun.
That's
Why
true,
would the
too.
friend just not shoot the imposter?
Yeah.
Why would you even be put in that situation in the first place?
That's true. See, if the imposter and the friend are that's always weird to me too. Like a standoff. Like, I don't even know how those are just standoffs and people aren't just go ahead and shoot.
Nakia says, "Hear them talk, they won't sound the same."
Have them talk, they won't sound the same. Well, that's a good too, because
Yeah,
that's
good
not
point.
in here. You know what I'm saying? It doesn't say they sound the same. So yeah,
Okay, that's clever.
yeah.
I'll give him that.
So let's try another one.
All right.
So, the room of fate. A murderer is condemned to death, he has to choose between 3 rooms. The first is full of raging fires. The second is full of assassins with loaded guns. And the third is full of lions that haven't eaten in 3 years. Which room is the safest for him?
Assassins with loaded guns.
The guns. The
Assassins with loaded guns.
Yeah, the assassins.
All right. Now, this might not be like range day where y'all all buddies and y'all having good conversations.
Wait, the lions haven't eaten for 3 years?
Yeah.
I'm picking the lions. That's a weak lion after 3 years.
Okay, true. Yeah, they haven't eaten in 3 years, but
The
they might
lion-
be dead. Yeah, the
the
lions
lions
might
are
be
dead.
dead. Okay, yeah. Well, see, I'm thinking,
Yeah.
But assassin loaded guns may be your boys, though. So.
Right, yeah.
well,
you know,
Y'all
but
know
I'm
too many assassins.
I'm
Y'all know too
thinking
many
that
assassins.
I'm thinking that if I'm in a room with people with guns, I could potentially have that gun.
True. That's a good point.
That was my thinking. But
You want some
yeah,
equilibrium
yeah,
stuff.
some dead lions
Yeah.
that are starving to death, I think would probably be a better option. I
Because
didn't-
as far as
3
the-
years, yeah, they're probably not
That's
alive.
what he's
yeah.
talking about too. Far as success, all you gotta do is get one.
Yeah.
All you gotta do is
Yeah.
take out one.
All I gotta do is disarm one. I don't know. That's my thinking.
All you gotta do is kill one.
Little tidbit.
Maybe I'm wrong.
Did you guys know that Woody
Oh my God,
Harrelson-
Tony's talking about killing again.
Woody Harrelson's dad was a convicted hitman? Did you guys know that? Like random, I know, but Assassins kind of brought that. Like I can't remember when I saw that. I was like,
I wouldn't be
Especially
surprised.
in No Country for Old Men, Woody Harrelson plays an
Yeah.
assassin.
yeah,
Oddly enough.
yeah, that's right.
Hey man, anybody? Let me tell you something. Anybody's capable of anything in this world.
Oh yeah.
I wanted to ask
Well-
you, like, the Equilibrium movie. Like, I saw the third one that just came out. It's crazy. But, like, I don't know if you've seen any of those. Like, how realistic is that? Like, I mean, I know it's a movie, but at what point is it like, all right, you probably wouldn't be able to do all this? You know what I'm saying? Because some of that stuff is, like, technique and, you know?
I've never seen him. I hate
Or
to
you
say.
could take a John Wick movie, maybe. If I
Okay.
think it's kind of the
Yeah,
same
now you're
type
speaking
of
more
feel.
about language. Yeah.
John Wick.
Yeah.
Okay.
I like the
speaking more about
Equilibriums, though,
language.
but yeah, John
Equilibrium
Wick.
is more sci-fi. It's a Christian Bale movie. It's a great movie.
Okay.
But it is one of his older ones. Probably John Wick.
Christian. Oh no, Equalizer is what I'm talking about. Sorry,
Equalizer.
Oh,
not
oh,
Equilibrium.
okay,
Equilibrium
yeah.
is not realistic.
John Wick
I'm not
is
talking
a-
about that at all.
John Wick is a good example. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, you know, I know Taron Butler, and he's a really good dude, and he helped train Keanu Reeves and Halle Berry and you know all the actors and actresses that do the gunplay in the movies and stuff. Really good guy, right? I think that the best way to approach when you look at a Wick scenario, John Wick, and you know this guy's shooting and moving and doing his thing, and gunning down hundreds of people throughout the course of the entire movie, and of course not getting of course he's got shot and wounded, but not dying, and you know I think the reality is that when you look at a gunfighter type situation. Compared to the Wild West, all right? Look back to like the West days and the Wild West, and there were some good gunfighters that survived many a gunfights, right? But I think that you're actually, in reality, a guy like Wick or whatever would probably realistically get killed before long. I mean, like
Probably the
your
first
luck,
movie.
yeah, you can't be lucky
his house.
forever. Like there's a little bit of luck, there's a little bit of skill, but at the end of the day, it just seems to me, though, that when you got that many dang rounds flying through the air, like in those movies, look, eventually you're going to catch a slug
When you
some way or the other.
when you in a realistic world on that two-way range now, ain't thinking. Hey, look, it can always happen.
I feel like,
And to be
in
fair,
the
he did get
movies-
shot, in the
Yeah,
movies
yeah.
a good
Hey,
bit. So
But it was nothing significant.
Well,
I think the movies,
suits too.
as far as
Yeah.
the movies goes,
I need that suit. Though.
me personally,
That suit though is bad.
I feel like the most realistic movie that it could actually be a real life thing, maybe not completely, but the closest to it. My personal opinion would be Rambo. I don't know what movie y'all would say. If he actually designed it's
which
kind of
one?
like a Kevin McAllister type, a Home Alone type situation. You know what I'm saying? So with Home Alone, the kid still probably, wouldn't happen like that, obviously. But I just feel like it's close to reality, like as you can get. I mean, I don't know if y'all have another one, but Rambo to me seems like more of a that could actually happen on some type of level. Maybe not to
first
that level.
the first one, yeah.
The first
The
one.
ones after that.
yeah, they went a little
more
crazy after
fantasy
that.
later.
You ever seen the movie Heat?
I love Heat.
Yeah.
I love
That's
Heat.
realistic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Who's in that?
Oh,
Everybody.
Val Kilmer, Robert De Niro,
Pacino.
Tom Sizemore. Dennis Haysbert had a little cameo. He was a getaway driver that last
Good
scene.
memory.
Yeah.
Memory.
Just
I know
got,
the main
he just
player.
read
I watched it plenty. I watched plenty of times. Al Pacino.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So there's a part where they conduct like a bank heist, rob a bank, and of course they end up getting in a shootout with the police.
Yeah.
Like big shootout in the streets, and you could see they're displacing, they're providing cover fire, they're doing like tactical retreat where they're firing and displacing and trying to get away and covering each other and moving around. So like that scene in that movie is actually pretty accurate of like what it's like to be in a gunfight.
You know why? Because they were trained by British SAS members. That's why. I'm talking about their reloads were on point. I'm talking about their like Eric said, their
reloads,
bounding,
their movement, their tactics, like how you would conduct yourself. And it's like, oh crap, we're out here in the open getting in a freaking gunfight in the streets, and we got maybe some cars, but that's about it. Like, yeah, the way that they conducted themselves during that gunfight is pretty close to pretty close to real tactics. You could
probably put me and Eric in a situation, right? He and I have never worked together before. We still have the same training. We still have the same training of being in gunfights, fire maneuver, bounding overwatch, suppressive fire.
Yes.
Moving cover to cover. Which cover, which concealment.
It's crazy to even think about that.
Yeah.
You play a game of Call of Duty.
Reloading,
You play a game of Call of
I got
Duty.
your back,
Reloading.
Man.
That's right.
Move.
Well, if y'all
go.
had some respawns in real life, that'd be crazy. They caught because we play Call of Duty and we just like, it's whatever. But in real life,
sounds exciting till you're in it.
Yeah.
I can't imagine.
At the end of the day,
there ain't no respawns, bro.
Yeah,
that's why I
at the
stay
end of the
behind
day,
the
though,
camera.
Why
I shoot with my camera.
I've officially learned being in a real gunfight, like it's all about the basics at the end of the day. Taking cover, returning fire, knowing how to properly put sights on target, pull the trigger. That's always gonna be the constant.
But to be able to talk about it afterwards
Yeah.
is the crazy part.
What about like Band of Brothers, Saving Private Ryan?
Yeah,
you know,
man.
Those were really intense. Like I can't hardly rewatch them. Band of Brothers is great. It's one of my favorite. And actually, they come out with a new Airborne one, I think. But Saving Private Ryan, I think was one of the first ones I saw that was like, wow, these guys are getting dropped. They didn't even touch the water. You know what I mean? Like that. It kind of goes back to reality and how we live this cushy life. Like,
man, let me tell you
some
something. Those
movies
those
do-
some real warriors back then. Let me tell you that,
Yeah.
man. They had some real grit back then. They're not like today. They're not like today,
it's a lot
man.
of
Today's
camera
military is
cuts
watered down. They had some real men back then.
It does show the brutality of war pretty well, for sure.
Yeah.
And it's pretty accurate. I mean, like the sniper scene, right? The first thing that the German sniper shoots and hits the character Vin Diesel was playing.
Yeah.
Vin Diesel, like.
Yeah.
He played his character.
And he was a lot younger then.
Even
but-
in Fury.
What he got
Right.
going on
Even in
now,
Fury.
but back then,
Right.
he a superhero now.
But the American sniper makes the distinction, like, okay, well, this guy had already hit the ground before we even heard the shot, so he knew that because the bullet travels faster than sound, that because we saw the action of the bullet and then heard it, we knew, okay, well, based on the amount of time in between, we know that, wow, this guy was kind of far away. So it's even those little tiny distinctions about the reality of warfare that the movie does portray quite well. Like, that is something in real war you would do. Like, if you saw your buddy hit the ground, you're like, oh, crap. Well, we saw him hit the ground before we even heard the shot. So we know that, gosh, this sucker's far away. This is a sniper. This isn't just some rifleman that's just hiding 50 feet away. Like, this is somebody that's far away.
Yeah.
So they did a pretty good job of articulating that.
I think the most realistic one I've seen, the latest one I say would be Black Hawk Down.
Oh.
Yeah.
Black
The medical scene where they're
Yeah.
trying to clip off the
Yes.
artery.
Yeah. All of it.
Yeah.
Man, that's a lot of movies I gotta go see.
Because
man.
in motion movies, like they save the day. But wait, I'll tell you what made that scene horrible for me. He woke up, and they had to lie to him and say, "You're gonna be all right." And I was like, that had that broke my heart. Yeah. But another good one I enjoyed was Full Metal Jacket.
Yeah, man. Yeah.
That was a little different. That was a
I have
Kubrick
not seen
film,
any of
I'm
these.
familiar.
What have I been doing?
But the thing about Black Hawk Down, right?
Something
a brutal
productive besides
movie.
watching
What
movies.
have I been doing? I'm glad.
The thing about Black Hawk Down,
to
like
write this
listen
list
to the
down.
guys who actually been there. Like we learned so many things from that incident within that whole 18-hour gunfight, man. Like how long? That fight was about 18 hours. You think?
Quite a while.
Yeah, it was a long time. Yeah, we learned so many things, like the use of tourniquets, the use of tactical field care.
Yeah.
Like we learned some, like the modern warfare today. Like we have to credit those guys who that Delta Force Rangers. We have to credit those guys for that.
Because that's the
They
one.
taught we learned from their mistakes.
That's the one where they they paraded the body around of the soldier. Yeah. Because I saw the movie and I watched the movie was pretty right on. As far as how all that went down. According to the documentary. And
I think the most.
Even when you listen to interviews like guys like go back and listen to guys like Tom Satterley, who else? Brad Thomas. Who else? I could think of. Who else can I think of?
Nakia said Black Hawk Down was her movie. That's her movie.
I'm trying to think of another guy that was there. Shoot, it'll come to me in a minute.
Now, the best movie, if you wanna learn how to be, the best fighter, whatever, you gotta go watch Steven Seagal. No, just
What's that?
Steven Seagal.
Look here. Let me tell you something.
I shouldn't even joke about that. I'm sorry, y'all.
Let me tell you about Steven Seagal. I remember when he was a sheriff's deputy in Jefferson Parish, Louisiana. That's like just right next to New Orleans.
You're gonna wake up and he's gonna be over your bed like. What you say to me?
He actually pulled my uncle. He actually pulled my uncle over on a traffic stop.
Huh?
Oh really?
Steve Seagal legit pulled my uncle over on the traffic stop. Talking about my uncle. He detailed the whole thing. He was coming out like the Winn-Dixie. You remember that? The Winn-Dixie.
Man.
He came out the Winn-Dixie parking lot. Got pulled over. Talking about, I can smell the weed in the car. But we're not gonna worry about that.
I can smell the weed in the car.
He's like, I don't smoke weed no more. What you talking about?
Worry about that though.
No, look, Steven Seagal is also a really well-known high-end guitar collector. He's got a bunch of rare guitars and stuff like that.
I never knew that.
He's a musician. Yeah,
I didn't know that.
Yeah, he's pretty. He ain't a bad guy.
I like his early.
He can shoot though. I can tell you what. That dude can shoot.
He can shoot and he can play. He's got great guitar collection. Got good taste in guitars. Hey, whatever. He's all right by me. I got no problem with Steven Seagal.
Early stuff.
You brought the guitar here?
No, that was Ashley.
He was playing it early. He can play now. For all y'all don't, Eric can play the guitar now.
Because I saw the Instagram reel and your hands were outside of it, and I was like, did he play it? I'm not no hater, you know what I'm saying? But I was like, if he played this, bro, that's crazy. That he played it like it's nothing. I was like, man, that's awesome, man.
Yeah, he was playing stuff when we got here. I was like, man.
And we trying to do the whole music thing, so man, you come back and play some stuff, bro. We're gonna throw our instruments to the side and just
music's a healing force. It's a healing power.
Yeah. That it is.
Has a lot of power. Music.
So let's get. We have maybe one more. Okay, this one we want you to dig a little deeper on, right? So is
anything gonna get us banned?
No. It's called
That's how you answer it,
mystery recording. One day, the police found a man dead inside a hut. In his left hand, he's holding a gun. In his right hand, he has a recording. When the recording is played, the police hear the man talking about how horrible his life is and how he wants to end it. The recording ends with a gunshot. The police are about to call it a yeet until
a self-deletion.
Self-deletion until you point out a very important clue. What is it? So we think about it. Obviously this is not a self-delete.
Who stopped the recording?
There you go.
Boom.
So, yep, I think that's the
one.
That's the clue. So it says so the recording played a gunshot inside it. If the man did self-deletion, he wouldn't have been able to stop the recording after he pulled the trigger. So you basically got it. So now everybody understands that, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So let's move on to the next one. This is the last one we got, I think. So the badge of truth. A man entered his house and was about to hang up his coat when he heard his wife shout, "No, John, don't do it." There was a shot and he could hear his wife fall down. When he entered the kitchen, he saw his wife and the gun lying on the floor. There was a police officer, a doctor, and a lawyer standing next to her. Peter immediately knew that the police officer had shot her. But how did he come to know?
Well, wouldn't he be the only one with a gun?
Right.
And a name.
Yeah.
Tag.
What's his name? What's his name badge say?
Good call.
Yep, that's it.
Good call.
The police officer has a name on his badge.
I mean, so is the doctor.
And a gun.
Maybe. But
I mean,
Yep.
doctors
But
don't
he's
go
got the
around
gun.
carrying guns usually, so.
Yeah.
Yep. Yep. So y'all, the first one was a little right. That was a tough one though.
Yeah, it was.
But
My whole question is how they all get in the first place.
they're all in on
Well,
it.
yeah, the lawyer's the real criminal in that.
It's so true.
Yeah, he made the play. So I just want to look at it. Last thing we're gonna do, I want to look at a few of these anti-gun memes and see what your responses are. So you can go to the first one and just hit the thumbnail. I want to make sure the mic is on. Okay. Oh, my bad. Sorry. Doing now.
Kyle Lamb. And I thought of it. I thought of it.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay. Now we're good. Sorry, guys. I just had to edit that scene real quick. Okay. So this is the first one. John Oliver on gun regulation. So, one failed attempt at a shoe bomb, and we all take off our shoes at the airport. 31 school shootings since, was that Columbine, and no change in the regulation of guns. John Oliver.
Well, why don't you treat the schools like the airport?
How many shoe bombs are in the United States compared to guns?
Yeah.
Yeah. None.
There's a crap ton of guns.
Mm-hmm.
And how many shoe bombs are there?
Yep. Oh yeah, you ever hear somebody when we refer to the whole thing about school security and everything? You ever hear somebody tell you, Eric, that I don't want my child's school to seem like a jail, a prison? Like, okay, so would you rather the sense of security a prison or a bloodbath?
Or we could regulate the mental health.
Oh, yeah, mental health is a bigger
because
issue.
That seems to be kind of a running concurrent theme.
Here's a fun fact about that.
It is an issue. However, you also don't want to give the keys to Pandora's box to some government overseer who's going to abuse it.
Yeah.
Anyway.
That's because you remember the red flag laws, and I think there's something up there now. What's it, Maryland yellow flag now? Yeah.
I think that goes into the second.
Yeah, you got to do
one
some research on that one.
where they talk about Andy Boas on mental health. So maybe I'm a dreamer, but I wish mental health care were as easy to get as, say, a gun. So what do you think the problem is with that statement? Because I think that kind of goes into, does that kind of go into what you were saying about?
Well, one thing was
Pandora's box.
Let's go back to about 1980, the Mental Health Systems Act. You know what I'm talking about with that, right? Was it Jimmy Carter instilled the Mental Health Systems Act, which provided federal funding for mental health treatment throughout the country, and that got appealed in 1981 by was it Ronald Reagan?
I don't remember.
Yeah, that got repealed in 1981 by I believe by Ronald Reagan, man.
Encyclopedia.
Yeah, and ever since then, like, there's no federal. They pretty much deleted all federal funding for mental health, and pretty much now you get wars getting closed and all this stuff now. Like, I think by the West End, are you familiar with that area? Who's familiar with the West End? There was a mental health institution over there that got shut down due to lack of funding. Now you just got a bunch of folks walking around, talking to themselves, walking sideways, and everything. Oh, let me stop.
Well, I think that big pharma tends to want to keep people pilled up on all kind of random drugs and stuff. And look, I understand from a business perspective. Yeah, they don't really ever want to heal you.
Yeah.
They don't want to treat the underlying issue that you're suffering from. They just want to sort of hide it so they can keep you pumped full of drugs and keep selling you drugs and everything. I mean, that's the ultimate grift if you think about it.
And he's right. The VA is king for that. Yeah. They're king for that. Because I remember when I first came back and I started going to the VA and everything. The first thing they talking about PTSD, they start Zola, Prozac, stuff. I'm like, this stuff you about to have somebody walk around zombified, like, dude, I got to function, go to work. I can't have something that's gonna put me to sleep, or once one almost made me have a heart attack.
And at first it wasn't a big deal.
Yeah.
Because they didn't overprescribe it. They were very careful and they were very methodical about who they gave it to, and they did a lot of research, and of course they did their due diligence. But I think after a while they started to see dollar signs, and then they started putting little Johnny, who, has ADHD, but the reality is that, he just needs proper motivation, or he needs a proper stimulus to have somewhere to put that energy.
Exactly.
And that they're channeling that energy into something extremely negative because they're not being challenged properly. So there's these behavioral issues that they're trying to treat with drugs in these kids. That's when you look at Columbine. You look at the shootings in Columbine. These kids were all jacked up on SSRIs and things like that. And, they start getting all of these behavioral drugs in them. And then, little Johnny, because look, little Johnny's still learning how to be a person. They're not an adult yet. So, yeah, they forgot to take their pill for a few days or neglected to or out of spite, just so I'm not going to take it today or whatever. And they get off their meds, and then they get all jacked up and act crazy and stuff. So, it was just, I think in the 90s, we started to see all the parents just putting little Johnny on every little random big pharma pill that the doctors of the time recommended in order to try to cover up their lack of parenting, right? And then that's what created this beast that has grown into what it is today. And now we got all this fentanyl crossing the border, killing Americans on a regular basis. I mean, even standard drugs that, let's say, 30 years ago wouldn't have been a big deal. You would have never thought that your weed would be laced with fentanyl or that, even a random drug that would be somewhat harmless to some degree would be laced with all this crazy fentanyl. But now, even the pedestrian drugs of yesteryear, you can't even trust because there's no telling what the heck they're putting in it.
Yeah, I heard this Jamaican dude told me, he said, man, well, what is all this stuff, man? They got what we smoke over here ain't like they're talking about. So they got the basic, obviously, like, I don't smoke any of it, but it's like it's a big difference, when you, man, I'm telling you, it's just some stuff in.
Can we address the real boogeyman in that situation, though?
Yeah,
said what? The real boogeyman in that situation nobody wants to mention.
Yep.
The Chinese Communist Party. They're the ones who sent chemists over to Mexico to teach the cartels how to make more potent fentanyl. They're the ones who actually run the ports in Mexico.
That's crazy.
They have, and that's pretty much how the game is ran now.
Well, they worked.
But nobody wants to address that boogeyman though.
Construction industry, for 20 years, and then one of the things that they implemented, it was probably about 10 years ago, was the lead paint procedures. There's a name for it, but. So in that, to get certified, you have to go take a class, and they give you a history of all that. So we were one of the last people to outlaw lead in paint, right? It didn't happen until like the 70s or something like that. So and now, so basically it was a government problem, and then now we got to pay for it, is what happened. But so what happens with lead, if a child ingests lead, it has learning disabilities. And I think once you reach like age 6, usually it doesn't have as big effect. So like us, if we ingested lead, it wouldn't really... It'll hurt you, but not like it would a small child. So basically, everybody that was born like Generation X has some form of that, ironically. And I think that's between lazy parenting and some of that is why we're seeing such an uptick in it. It's got nothing to do with guns. Now, you do have like there was actually just a parent that just, I think, went to jail over giving a gun to a kid or something like that. But I think that plays a big role in it. As well. Again, it's an oversensitivity too. Like we don't want. Oh, you got a mental health problem. Let's treat it and like some people need to be locked away.
Yeah.
Like we saw a documentary about this whole family in South Carolina. I can't remember the name of it now. Dancing Outlaw was the documentary. Great, I loved it. It was a wonderful documentary. Those people needed to be where they were, and they need to be medicated, and they needed government assistance. Period. I had no argument with that. They really, the guy was in the graveyard. That was my mom. That's my brother. That's my dad. All in the graveyard, And so I think it's not just like to say that it's a gun problem. It's just short-sighted. I think it's more to it. Let's address what's really going on and be plain honest about this stuff.
I think the big concern too that people need to really keep in the back of their heads with all this stuff is that. While we would say, all right, let's open mental institutions back up and let's start putting the extremely mentally ill away in mental institutions. That's the argument, right, that one would pose. But with this two-tiered justice system that we see, do you really trust these people to make that decision? Do you really trust to give them the keys to Pandora's box and let them make that distinction of who they think is the madman and who isn't? Yeah. Well, who do you think they're going to make the madman? It's going to be politically driven. It's going to be, economically driven. It's going to be, socially driven. It's not just going to be the fact of the matter of old school, well, this person's obviously so mentally unstable and mentally ill that they can't even function within the confines of a normal and civilized society. No, they're going to politically decide who is mentally ill if you give them the keys to Pandora's box. And that's the concern everybody should have about that, for sure.
And if you were talking about Waco earlier, if you want, that's a perfect example of that. I didn't. I mean, theologically, I didn't agree with Waco and the Branch Davidians, but I saw that documentary. There was no reason for them to go in there at all, except for the stockpile of guns. That was their excuse. And that, I mean, you know,
right? And they thought they were abusing children. So here's the thing.
Supposedly.
Okay, all right. If it were the case that Koresh and them were actually abusing children, let's say sexually or something like that, okay, if I accuse you of a crime, does that give me the right to just go in and gun everyone down in the entire place? You know what I mean? Like,
right.
Just because you're accused of a crime doesn't mean that you committed the crime.
Yeah, I mean, they went in with tanks and fire and all that. And, you know, speaking of being accused, Russell Brand just got cut off from, I think, YouTube because he was accused. He might be on there back now.
Dude, we live in a country where you're proven guilty.
Yeah.
You're guilty until proven innocent.
That's the scary part, you know.
The accusation, the accusation is the crime.
Yeah.
Or the accusation is the punishment is what I'm rather. They
need some payback because they're taking people's careers away. Their whole, it's like, and they're not getting compensated for that.
And that's almost like murdering somebody, basically.
Well, it was like my Facebook page getting pulled, 830,000 followers, just because they said I posted some COOF misinformation. Oh, we're going to unpublish your Facebook account and then not have any way to get it back. Yeah. You know, you have any idea? What kind of revenue you can earn off of a Facebook page with 830,000 followers?
And they know that. They know that, and they shouldn't have that kind of power. I think that as far First Amendment, you got freedom of speech. And the freedom to bear arms, right, are so essential to our livelihoods, you know, right. And to not be able to have an open opinion is it's sad, really, you know, and. The one thing I did with the Branch Davidians was it was a religious cult, and I was like, it's an example of how you were saying who gets to determine the guidelines of who goes into these mental institutions, and you know if you have a super conservative belief, well, you're radical at that point. You know, you may not be like Amish, right? You know, the Amish are completely kind of off the grid. You could classify them as terrorists. You know what I mean? Like you could take it that far. And that was when I saw that documentary, that was what kind of scared me about it, was like, man, for any belief, you don't agree with what the president said, we're coming to get you, kind of thing, you know. You know, you don't want to live like that. But I think it's a good point. Yeah, who gets to determine the mental capacity level, you know, because, you know, I grew up and went to, gifted programs, which is kind of the opposite, right? So you've got your mental health issues, you know, and so the other part of that, because a lot of kids that get put on the ADHD pills, the Ritalin and all that, they're bored, you know, and they don't know what to do. And because you're young, you don't know how to handle that mentally, you get in trouble and you can't sit still because you're bored, but you have a higher intellect, basically, that, you know, you can understand and process information higher than the average kid. So you finish your work in half the time while the teacher's explaining it to the rest of the class.
When you look at primary schools, okay, you look at the, elementary and middle school and and that kind of level, you look at kids that get C's, and maybe B pluses and C's. And, that's exactly true. They're not properly motivated. Yeah. They're actually brilliant. They just don't feel the motivation because they're getting done with their work early and they're sitting there going like, all right, what's going on here? And while the teacher's explaining, it's precisely the case. So you look at a C student and you go, well, that C student, he's going to be a loser. There's no way he's not going to, have a high GPA. But, the fact of the matter is there might be a lot of untapped potential in that C student.
Yeah, because I know with us, like me and my brother and sister all were kind of this way. Like, I don't want to have a B is an A, right? Who cares if I make a B? I still get there, So if I can phone in a B, because there were a lot of times I wouldn't study something. I would do homework on the bus there, and as long as I needed to pass, I'm good. Because all that doesn't. I mean, looking back now, a lot of stuff really doesn't matter when you get to be a certain level. Like college starts to matter and things like that. But
sure,
and you need to learn the concept.
And even then, that's debatable.
I mean, I had a 3.9.
Yes.
My GPA was 3.9.
See, and that's what I'm saying. And there's two types of people. I always said there was two types. Like you have people that were kind of naturally smart that just kind of picked up, and people that put the work in, And they both can achieve things. And but I watched because DeKalb County had a really good program here when I was a kid, and it's still there. But I don't know how it's doing or anything like that. But it was kind of like, well, we don't want to isolate these other kids and make them feel less than. Like, well, welcome to the real world.
Like a participation trophy.
Oh man, don't get me started on that. Because that's not life. Life is a dog-eat-dog world now, and we're all adults, so we kind of know that it is a competition, but not quite. Like we can all sit here, and you might be more successful than me, and Ashley and Tony, but we can all get there together and help each other. But the level of success doesn't really matter. Like if you're a billionaire and you're a millionaire, who cares? Because you know what I mean? You're
at the bro code level, iron sharpens iron.
Exactly.
Always.
Yeah.
It always starts at that holistic core level, right? And there's no better way to prove you're king than to make other kings.
Man, that right there.
And it's true.
But what they're not.
It's all about developing your circle.
That's right. But we don't want to make kings. We want to make peasants and servants, right? I mean, because that's I'm not saying we, but I'm just saying that's what I feel like
society
leadership is doing.
Right. The leadership wants to make peasants, not kings.
Yeah, we want to own you, but
it's social class nonsense.
Yeah, and there's enough to go around. That's what's crazy. Yeah. Like there is, especially now in this gig economy.
Man, we got enough money. We had enough money to go around. We couldn't give our damn money to Ukraine.
Now that, yeah. I mean, because you're talking about losing 800,000 basically on Facebook, 800,000 subscribers, viewers, followers, whatever it is, and I mean, who would have thought that was even possible? I mean, I grew up in the '90s, so it was kind of like graduate, go to college, become a lawyer, kind of thing, And so the internet really opened all that up. So, I mean, there's enough money out there for us to all be successful. Why is it? That's a whole nother podcast, I think, to go into that. But,
for sure.
Yeah.
I just think that we're kind of. It's funny how all this ties together to me. When you start talking about it.
Absolutely,
it really does.
Now, as far as the meme, well, not the meme, the anti-gun meme, the health thing, I think about it like owning a pistol, and like how you said, like you can get whatever you want if you have the right money, and I'm thinking that would be equivalent to a more major disease. You know what I'm saying? So if you got the right money, it's certain people that are don't have the amount of money to get taken care of like somebody with a lot of money. Yeah. So it's really, you say it's easy to get a gun, but it's like a just any everyday gun, people can get that. You know what I'm saying? But the problem that they have when they have a problem getting that done is more so in states where there's free healthcare or countries where there's free healthcare. That's where they have a bigger problem. Getting help.
Are we getting into socialism?
Let me say something about that.
Are we getting into socialism?
Because they want. All right, so he says in his thing.
That's what that would be, trying to promote.
Right.
So look, but let's look at it again.
And it don't work.
It says, maybe I'm a dreamer, but I wish mental health care was easy to get as a gun. All right. So you can go check yourself in right now at a mental health facility. Matter of fact, they can keep you for at least two days.
You can go to Grady right now.
So is it really harder to get than a gun?
That's my point.
I can tell you on a level of me working around a healthcare environment. Say that I have a veteran that comes in fresh off the street. He's having some issues. He could go check in to the hospital, tell him he's SI, which is suicide, or HI homicide, or whatever. He got some things going on. He's probably got some voices in his head, whatever.
All he's got to do is go in and say
I need to speak with a social worker. Yeah, that's all you got to say. It's those magic words.
Pay for it. They're not handing out free guns.
They're gonna have a social worker.
What are they talking about?
This is what they're gonna do. They're gonna have a social worker and a psychiatrist evaluate you right then and there on the spot. And they're going to determine right there and there, are you mentally competent? Do you need, what they will do is they'll issue what is called a 1013. It's a state mental health hold. At that point, once that mental health hold is issued, you're not able to go on on your own until you cleared by the doctor. Right. Okay? And so it's not a hard task. You just got to go and get after it.
And I know this.
It's the same thing. If you decide you want to go into Grady right now, same scenario.
Yeah, because we had a family member that ended up going and they kept him, and we didn't know at the time, and we're like, hey, that's kidnapping. But legally, at least in Georgia, they can keep you for at least 48 hours.
I've seen it.
I've never seen a gun store give you a gun for 48 hours, period. I mean, I know you can rent them at the range, but that's a little different.
Man, let me tell you, I've seen people held at psychiatric facilities like for months.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. So that's something they put this stuff out here as if. And if you don't know better, and then here's the sad thing, there are people that I believe live their lives on social media to an extent that
It's their Bible.
It's what it is.
That's
This is-
they
these are my
They're stuck in that
friends,
delusion,
and
man.
It's crazy what I've seen it happen to people.
They hear it and they're like,
it's sad.
Why
Sad.
exact? And be like, bro, just
Yeah.
take 5 minutes to just think about this. Like, just really think. Like, but don't let your emotion, you know what I'm saying, guide you. Let's look at one more, and then we're gonna do our final thoughts and stuff.
So we want to do
The third one.
the third one.
I mean, unless there's one that you really think is a good one,
Um,
because the ones I picked out a few, but it's like
let's see.
there's a lot of them. I mean, so I just picked out a few of them. I mean, we can always go back and because these are, man, these are the points that a lot of people are using. You know what I'm saying? A lot of the talking points, and I just feel like it's something.
I think
like
to the uninitiated, they're good talking points.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like, but that's why I feel like people need to hear them, so it's like they can kind of get more equipped. So, you know, like, but even if like it catches you off guard, it's like, just think about it for a second. You don't have to, oh, you got me. Like if I hear something I haven't heard before, it could be just word gymnastics. It might not even be anything like worth considering. It could just be some word gymnastics, like the mental health thing. I think that was more word gymnastics. Like it's like
Totally.
like it's not even like,
That's a great way to look at it.
you know, it's like you're trying to trip me up with your words, but you're not really providing anything for me to consider.
Yeah, there's no substance there. It's just conjecture.
And the points they're making aren't even, I wouldn't even say they're true. You know, at least if your points were true, we could be like, all right, let me think about it, you know. But it's like, what do you mean mental health?
It's like a
and getting
carefully
gun?
crafted lie in a way, you know. Like
Yeah.
You know the funny part, they still make it sound like anybody can just walk into a gun store and buy a gun. You still gotta go through a background check. You can't be a convicted felon. You still gotta go through all that. You can't have you can't have any documented mental health issues. You can't be currently under a protective order, have a protective order against you, none of that. You know, so there. You get where I'm going with this.
Yeah.
They just make it seem like it's just so easy.
Totally not. The gun industry is one of the most heavily regulated undertakings you could ever imagine in a million years. Every single stage of the process is carefully controlled and regulated. And, I mean, the gun industry is absolutely the most regulated industry there is.
Him being because you have an FFL, right?
Right. We have a manufacturing license.
Yeah, manufacturing. ATF come knock on your door anytime and check out what you got going on.
Technically.
At the drop of a dime.
Now, look, to be fair, they won't just show up generally. You know, the IOI will give a call and say, hey, we're going to come do an inspection. They usually just don't pop in. And even if they do, you know, they're knock on wood, they're normally pretty freaking cool.
Yeah.
In my experience, they never really give us too many issues. But, of course, we don't, you know, we're not jerks to them. We just be ourselves, and it's generally okay.
A lot of them are regular people.
And our paperwork is, like, tip-top. Like, it's all
definitely.
good. You know, everything's in order.
A lot of them are like regular people, just like you and I. You know, they don't agree with the nonsense either. What's going on is all the bureaucratic nonsense come from the top.
It's true. You're right. The foot soldiers on the ground, they don't actually give a crap. They want to, you know, go have lunch. They don't.
And what me and Jason were talking about the other day, I think even a lot of these people that make a living with their shows and stuff, now Jimmy Kimmel, I think he's in it for real. But, you know, like, I was listening to something, you know, with Jimmy Fallon and some people that kind of speak these left, you know, points. And I'm like, how many of those people are just saying it because they need to make a living and they're taking the money to say these things and they don't actually agree with it? I think that is a decent perspective that people don't really think too much about. Like, because I don't necessarily just hate people because they have their show and they're saying stuff. I'm like, I feel like you're probably, you know, torn between, do I give up my career, taking care of my family, and I just have to at least have that type of consideration for.
And if the amount of money that you're making is like shut up money, where it's like it's so much money that like, oh my gosh, you're never going to really suffer the ramifications of being wrong.
Yeah.
Well, then I guess in their opinion, well, what's the harm in it? Like if I can get millions of dollars to parrot the COOF narrative or to parrot an anti-gun narrative or do whatever and hey, they're getting paid. As long as the grift is on, then I don't guess they really care. And at the end of the day, if they're living in a, you know, $5 million house and driving, you know, $400,000 cars and wearing $20,000 suits.
With their armed bodyguards, by the way.
And having bodyguards and then, who are armed, by the way. Then I guess really at the holistic level, for them at least, then why does it really matter?
It's hypocritical because
it's hypocritical,
it's definitely still
but they are beyond reproach of being hypocrites because they have shut up money and it doesn't matter to them.
You won't stop me being as a common human being, like as a little guy. You won't stop me from being able to protect myself, but yet you got armed bodyguards around you know,
a whole gang of them.
Like the president, he has a secret service around him with nice armaments, ARs and everything. You know what?
Armed with the guns that they don't want you to
have.
They're
armed with the guns they don't want us to have. FMP 90s. They still running those?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's like y'all not really the issue. The issue is the people that's paying y'all, really. Like it's deeper than just, you know, because people see the face, you know, just like wrestling. Like, I don't like you. It's like, that's your script. Your script is for me not to like you. I mean, if anybody thinks like, you know, hardcore wrestling fan, I don't want to offend nobody. But you know, it's like y'all know at the end of the day, y'all take it on that role. Now I'm not gonna treat you a certain way because you take it on that role, but it's like I definitely don't agree with what you're doing, but I don't know what it would be like to be in that position. I would like to say I would not be a hypocrite, but sometimes, I mean, I'm definitely sure, you know, I wouldn't be a hypocrite, but it's like some of y'all just kind of talking and y'all haven't had that type of money before, but you know, I just want to. I don't want to blame the person that's like, you're not really the big issue. I'm not going to worry about you.
Well, at least you're willing to understand the complexities of the human condition.
Definitely,
I mean, look, people are complex, and sometimes our struggles and the things that we want to try to accomplish are complex, and we may not always be able to make sense of each other's struggles and each other's goals and each other's wants and needs, or even care for each other's wants and needs. But I think that's an astute observation to at least understand the deeper lying contextual meaning behind what drives human behavior.
Yeah. And if you say something crazy, I'm definitely gonna be like, I'm not. You might get paid to say that, but that was dumb. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna say like it is. So let's get this last.
Last thumbnail.
Yeah.
Yeah, people want to sell their soul for a few dollars these days, man, which is kind of sad. But yeah,
25. Okay. Assault rifles.
Oh yeah, I never.
Should I read the meme first? What's the? I guess. Okay.
So it says I need an assault rifle because, and it gives you three choices. I'm part of a well-regulated militia. Zombie apocalypse is a coming. I wish my dinky winky were bigger.
Wow.
Let's vote for zombie apocalypse.
Yeah, my truck muffler is really, really loud.
Well, I'm just wondering where they got a FAMAS from. Yeah. I mean, I want a FAMAS. Dang.
I'm telling you, man.
What the heck?
I have not seen one of those stateside yet, man. Have you?
No, they're not very common.
No, there's no real reason to own an assault rifle.
Let's go join. My friend, you want a FAMAS? Let's go join the French Foreign Legion. Let's go do that. We get a FAMAS for free.
Yeah, we can join
the French Foreign Legion. We get a FAMAS for free.
Because I mean, I hear
you'll get a free one.
And this is one.
You know, they were trying to recruit us in Afghanistan.
We hear the assault rifle argument quite a bit. Like
why do you need the assault rifle?
There's no such thing as an assault rifle.
Well,
that's the stupid part about it.
I guess it like why do you need one?
Assault.
Why do we need one versus a pistol? Like, to me, logically, like, I could do more damage with an assault rifle if somebody's trying to break in than I can with a pistol. Like,
why do you need a hammer? Why do you need an umbrella?
Why do you need a fire extinguisher?
A fire extinguisher. Why do you need car insurance?
A tire
Why do you need
pump.
life insurance? Yeah. Why do you need a wallet? I mean, yeah, pose the question.
Yeah.
The need is irrelevant.
Yeah.
It's my right to do it. It doesn't matter. I don't have to have a need.
And
I think society, the actions and things that are happening in society totally prove the need. I don't have to articulate that need to anyone. Have you turned on the damn news and seen what's... I mean, come on. It just is what it is.
I think at this point, like, one of the things that I believe, or here's my opinion on things. I don't think I have to have an opinion on things. I don't have to. I'm an adult. I don't have to tell you why I live the way I do, unless it encroaches on something that
or causes harm to someone. Yeah, right.
So now because there's individual freedoms and then collective freedoms, you know. So, and like you said, like, well, it's my right to own it. So, like, I got my gun license years ago. Just like I didn't even have a gun, but I got that license in case they got rid of it. I would have it. You know what I mean? I'd be in there, and because I was like, I'm gonna exercise my right, just like voting. You know what I mean? Like. I don't think that's a good point because everybody wants this justification. I don't have to do that.
Man.
Why do
My whole thing is you have the right to do it. Anybody has the right to do it. Within your anybody has the ability. Everybody has the ability to exercise their Bill of Rights. You know.
Yeah, it was like
people have died for you to have these rights. Use them.
See, and that's we devalue them. We don't appreciate them. Like, you know, we've all probably got family members that fought. Well, you guys were in the wars, but my grandfather was in World War II. You know, I had an uncle that was in Germany. You know what I mean, during World War II, really in it. And but I remember, man, I lost my train of thought on that.
It'll come back in a second.
Man, it was just what we were talking about too. But like I said, we don't appreciate the sacrifices that have been made for us too, and
You don't appreciate till it's gone.
right, well, because it's not in front of us, and I think warfare in general has changed. You know, it's become more. You know, you got the drones and things like that, so
Yeah.
you're not, at least right now, not seeing like the D-Day invasion kind of stuff, the massive
War is a lot less personal now.
Yeah.
Right. Once you remove the human element, I mean, you know, it's one thing to be looking through crosshairs of a scoped rifle and you're looking at another human being, you're about to squeeze a trigger and potentially end a human life. You know, that has a much more personal and deeper meaning versus, well, I believe it was, what was it? Dan Grossman, I believe, wrote a book called On Killing. And it goes into a lot of, is it Dan Grossman? I hope I got that name right. But a book called On Killing.
Google it.
And that particular book goes into a lot of detail on the mental effects that soldiers went through in warfare. You know, being a bomber who's looking through a bomber sight and dropping a bomb on a village or something or an airfield. What's his name?
Dave Grossman.
Dave Grossman.
Yeah.
Okay, I was close. I was close. But it goes into a lot of detail about that, how there's a separation of the emotional attachment between the guy dropping the bomb from the B-52 or whatever the heck it is versus the guy who's looking down the sight of a rifle about to squeeze a trigger and he sees the whites of the guy's eyes. I mean, it's two very different things.
Yeah, but it's no, like I said, the drone pilot way up in Las Vegas, Nevada somewhere while we're sitting here while we're sitting here on the mountainside fighting, you know?
Right. Two totally different realities, two totally different wars.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
When I look at what I just saw, the reason the question came up is the problem for me, because you have a problem with my assault rifle, and that's not even really like you have an emotional problem with the assault rifle when the assault rifle isn't what did it. You know what I'm saying? It's the person with probably a different gun. You know what I'm saying? Even if it was the assault rifle. Was it the assault rifle that you know went to the school by itself and did that? A lot of times, was it even the assault rifle by a legal gun owner? Like you look more into it, and you're like, you're asking the question. Like now I got to be your therapist when you ask me this question, because you don't even know you're asking a question based off a false premise from the beginning.
This is what you do though. You hit them with this here. Was it the car's fault or was it the driver who just downed a fifth of hand?
Same thing, exactly. And now also my bazooka, you mad at my bazooka when you don't even know what I'm using it for. And this man didn't even have.
Let me start telling myself.
He got this off.
And it also forces, you know, if they look at it critically and look at it logically, it forces them to come to the conclusion that gun control is completely ineffective.
Yeah.
Right? Because, someone that wasn't supposed to have a gun ended up getting a gun and shooting up a place anyway, right? So you can't say that, you can't legislate away morality. You can't legislate morality.
Right.
So gun control as a social construct, as an agreement, as a set of laws, as a thought process is a completely flawed process that has no place in a logical society. Like, you know, you cannot eliminate evil except through eliminating evil. You can't will it away. You can't wish it away.
Sometimes you just gotta fight
Can
fire
you
with
go
fire.
to-
You got to fight fire with fire.
Can you go to 5? I love 5 because you know we talk about
and
Jesus
here's the dumb
apologetics
part, right?
in the kingdom. So
If they think gun control gonna work so much, go to any inner city and go to any inner
I
metropolitan
think we
city
need
and
to
see if that
react
really
to that
works.
one.
Yeah, and who's in control there?
Exactly.
Right.
And every time too. And that's always been the common denominator.
It says, do you honestly think Jesus would own a gun and be a Republican?
I don't
Wow.
know.
He might own a gun. I don't know if he'd be a Republican. No,
I think David and Paul, I think they would have had guns in this day.
Here's the problem I have with these questions. It's stupid.
Yeah, man.
It's a setup question. It's a baited question. Jesus didn't. The whole premise of the Bible is Jesus in His kingdom, and His kingdom is not this earth. He came to die. So why? You know what I mean? And He came to die specifically in a certain way. You know, and so this is dumb.
He could have, if he did own a gun, would that mean, oh no, Jesus went over?
Well, but
you got your own idea of who Jesus is.
The plan
Because he
was
could have
already-
had a gun. You know what I'm saying? Did he have a knife on him? You know what I'm
Right.
saying? And was it a sin to have a knife
But
on
we
you?
just read earlier.
Jesus already had his task.
Yeah,
He had his task. He had his responsibility. He had his
Peter
mission.
had a sword, and he made him put it away. You know what I mean? So he wasn't about that. So it's just stupid.
It doesn't really, the Bible don't even really speak on if Jesus was the type of person to carry a sword or a knife, but he did whip all these people
Right.
when they, flipping tables, whatever. That he did all these things, and he has,
He certainly had a mean streak, didn't he?
yeah, he has thousands of angels
Man.
that he could call at any moment.
Don't worry, shit.
Right.
He's
He
definitely
needed
He's had
saying
a strong
some.
pimp hand. Y'all just
He's
didn't know.
definitely saying, "Depart from me,"
He
and
went
that's
in
a
the
lot
temple
worse
and
than a
started
gun.
pimp-slapping
And
people.
this is why I hate these kind of questions, really, because like
They really don't know the mind
so
of Jesus.
He's going around healing people, right? These withered hands. So he couldn't kill you at the same time. Like if he can heal
Exactly.
your hand and you can write, he can stop that heart from beating. So he didn't need. That's stupid question.
The Bible says, "Vengeance is mine," saith the Lord.
So he
But
can-
you think he got a problem? Like, man, y'all don't even understand. He's literally God on the mountain is saying, "I'm about to kill all of them." If he would have had a gun, that would have kept him from being God.
No, that was Sodom and Gomorrah, right?
Well, that too, but I'm
Yep.
talking about on the mountain where Moses went up and they made idols down the mountain. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So the golden calf, all that, and God is saying, "I'm about to kill them all." Moses is like, "Please don't do this." You know what I'm saying? So I'm like, God, like you talking about God that did all this would have a problem with a gun? He got something way more powerful than a gun. So that is.
I mean,
telling
if you can turn water into wine, I'm pretty sure you can turn, you can boil someone's blood by touching them. I mean,
Right.
right.
Like because I guess the
God does
question,
not care about your
They
gun. He
think
cares about your
Jesus
thought
is this
process.
peaceful, like like he's never had an argument. He's never yelled about like, bro, y'all are reading this. You did not know Jesus like that.
They tried the same thing on the voting. Well, Jesus didn't vote. Couldn't vote, guy.
There wasn't no voting back then.
Right. And but I guess to me, like, why is the fight so hard? Right. Like this is just a right.
Man, let me tell you something.
It's-
Everybody,
Well, hold on now, because our gun rights are on the same level as not having slavery in this country. But y'all don't fight hard to reinstate slavery, do you? No. But you're gonna fight hard to take our guns. So why is the fight so hard? And the same thing with free speech. Why? Is
well,
the
because
fight
if
so
they
hard?
get your guns, then they can make you a slave if they want to.
exactly.
That's what it all comes down to. It all's full circle.
Man,
And I think that same
Must we
thing
go?
off
Must
of-
we refer back to Nazi Germany?
if they
Just
can
saying.
control like they were trying to, it seemed like they were trying to do with the money, like getting paid. I think AOC was talking about this, like everybody getting paid a certain amount, and I was like, that's all these stimulus checks, like I feel like I need it, but I know the economy, that's not good for the economy.
No, man. Because look here, let me
Saying.
tell you something. They had to get their money back some kind of way.
that's what they
Like I'm gonna take it,
they
but I'm
tried in
like
the pandemic. That's what they did. They
So
tried
don't
that in
tell
the
me
pandemic.
like don't take it, like y'all handing it out, but because it's gonna go somewhere. You know what I'm saying? So, but I'm
Man, you already
it's
knew they
like
gonna get
that's
their
the
money
whole
back when they raise
system. They about to
taxes.
have us.
When you artificially increase the supply of the money by printing more of it, you depreciate the value of the money that's already in circulation. It's the oldest grift in the book, right? Like even like when you look at biblical stuff, there was even, laws against clipping coins.
Yeah.
So they used to take, so sometimes they would take and like cut a little edge off the coin and then take those edges and melt them down and make other new coins out of them.
Oh wow!
Clipping
It's all
coins.
game.
So it's like,
Yeah.
so it's the same type of thing. Like it's modern day coin clipping where, you don't have a say in it. If I have $100 that my grandpa gave me when I was 20 years old and he put it in the safe, okay, that $100 does not have the same buying power as it had when he put it in the safe when I was 20 years old. And 20 years later, I pull it out. It is not going to have the same buying power. It's a hidden tax
Yep.
Anyway, I digress.
Have you read that book I was talking about, The Creature from Jekyll Island? Have you read that?
No, but I do read a lot of Thomas Sowell. And a lot of his
Sowell
books
is the man.
Oh yeah, when it comes to economics,
the
like
man.
that's
hands down.
You should read
that's the Mecca.
Because Thomas Sowell, he'll even tell you he studied and practiced martial to a certain degree. Then then he realized
he was a Marxist in his younger days, and then came to the path of being conservative later.
I've read I've seen some of the stuff here and there, but I had read.
You should see Thomas Sowell back when he used to go back and forth with Joe Biden.
Yeah.
Man.
And he was serving Biden up, bro.
Yeah, for real.
Well, that's a good book to check out. It's called, I can't remember who wrote it. It was Creature from Jekyll Island, and but it explains like fiat currency and pretty much what you were saying, and that how central banking. So this is not our first Federal Reserve, by the way. There's been, I think this is like third or fourth in the whole. They've tried it and it's failed. And actually, one of the presidents that fought hard against it was Andrew Jackson, and as horrible as he is, against the Indians, and he was a pretty racist guy.
Yeah.
He really, when he didn't like bankers either, and
yeah.
But that book will tell you.
The only good thing in my books he did was keeping Louisiana from becoming British again.
Well, that and he fought against
that was it.
He ended up losing the battle, or the war basically. He won the battle, lost the war kind of thing against the bankers because, and again, this is getting to my conspiracy theorist side, and it's like there's a. What do you call them? A cabal kind of thing that kind of. I
hear you.
I don't know how much I put into that, but it was just interesting to read that there's a group out there basically that they don't care about nations and all that. It's a power thing, and so like what we're doing with Ukraine, it helps explain that. Like that's a wealth transfer is what that is. They're draining our wealth for Europe's wealth basically.
I thought it was just a money laundering operation.
Essentially, yes.
It's all money laundering. Yeah, just to take it out of our pockets. Because if you think of how much we're taxed, we're taxed at around 60% if you consider we're taxed on what we make, on what we spend, and how we drive. The only reason we have low gas prices now in Georgia is, I say cheap, they're just under 3.
They cut the
tax off.
Yeah, that's it.
And that's like a 25% tax, I think. At least the state tax.
Everywhere else I go, well,
it's crazy.
It's like in Congress, bro. Well. In certain areas, they
we're doing fine back before 2021. Just saying.
The taxes.
That's what I was going to say.
What was it?
So when Trump did the tax cuts, right? Everybody cried, "I'm not making as much money," but he cut it also on the business taxes, right? It was like 21 or 22%, and I was like, "You idiots, go start a business so that you can take advantage of this." Like that's who says you have to work for this company all your life and be subject to this? Go start your own thing, and it's like a YouTube channel or podcast. Like there's ways that you can do this that you can benefit from this. Don't cry about it. Use it. Like you said, it's your right. I can exercise it, so go do that. That was what I lost earlier.
Well, I think, man, we could be talking about this stuff all night for real.
Time tonight.
But so I'll let everybody take about a minute to give your final thoughts, and I'll start with Tony.
Lord have mercy.
Topic was Christians owning guns, but you could kind of go wherever you want, really.
The thing is, yes, have faith.
That's our
at all
security
times
guard
have
for
faith.
the church, by the way. But yeah, go ahead.
You know it, buddy.
We ready.
But yeah, yes, have faith. Exercise faith. But use common sense, man. Use the tools that you have available to preserve your life. Use the tools in the training. Seek training. And get an understanding of it. Because this world is not nice. It's not nice at all. Yep. The same things we have going on overseas right now in the Middle East, them same people are here. And they're plotting, You not only do you have to deal with the common carjacker, the person trying to kick in the door to your house and rob you, you gotta deal with all that. You gotta deal with all that nonsense over there too, over here. So get ready for that, because it's gonna happen. We're gonna have another 9/11. It's gonna happen.
Yeah. And then Eric, you can go ahead.
The only thing I want to say is that the energies that you put out in the world are a reflection of your soul, and if you're gonna try to walk a high moral path, then you need to act accordingly.
Yeah,
absolutely.
I think it's really just that simple. No matter if you choose to arm yourself or not, is quite frankly irrelevant.
Yeah.
Whether or not you're armed, it's what you put behind your conviction and what you really show the world your morals and principles are, and the kind of person you really are that shines through in your actions. I think, you got to do unto others. I know that's a corny thing to say, and people tend to throw that around a lot, but I do believe that the energies you put in the world are so much of a reflection of you that you should guard it closely and be careful with it. Be careful what you put out in the world, and just know that it follows you everywhere to the grave.
What goes around comes around.
It does.
And then Jason?
I've had a good time. That was kind of covered the gamut, didn't we, with everything? And but I think I think you guys said a lot of good stuff. It's all right. Exercise it. You know what I mean? Like, if you choose as a Christian not to, fine. If you don't, that's fine too. And just leave me alone, about it, and let me live my life. And
fair enough.
They want to live their little LGBTQ lifestyle. Let us live our gun lifestyle. Shoot,
Right.
They want to do what they do. Let us do what we
Alphabet
do.
game.
Give us
You
our,
got the right to be your alphabet game. We got the right to do what we do.
Give us our, because one of the other things I
Took
think
a third of the alphabet for
we
yourself. That's
we
what,
really didn't get
Dave
into
Chappelle
or talk
said.
about was just the enjoyment of, shooting a gun or, just, or if you're manufacturing, things like that. Like, I had a blast at, the range day. Like,
Literally.
blast.
At the end of the day, guns are fun.
Right.
Right,
Yeah.
and it's important to remember that guns are fun.
And done in a control, like, I'm watching these guys work these tables. Tony worked the table, and they were helpful. They show you how to handle it. If there was a problem, they were there to solve it. So it was done in a way that was professional. It was mature. There were kids there. Tony's daughter was, shoot with him there. So it was really like, this was a great experience. So I think that it sometimes gets stigmatized.
And the most important thing about that, any problems that came up, we fixed that right on the spot.
Absolutely.
Of course.
Yeah.
Because safety's paramount. That's first
Yeah.
and foremost.
Like, it was,
Yes, sir.
safety precautions and all that. Like, matter of fact, because I was walking with Mike, and there was the alcohol area, a little tub or something, had a bunch of liquor or something like that. And I brought it up. He said, once you start that, you don't get to shoot no more. And I was glad. I didn't think about it, but I was like, see, that's what I'm talking about. Like,
Makes you feel safe.
Yeah, we do liquor bracelets, so it's like if you're drinking, you get a bracelet.
Yeah. Yeah.
But during the day though, like we put all that up. Yeah, no one's allowed. Yeah, we don't play around with that. That's only for after hours, like after all the guns are up. Yeah, obviously we're not gonna let people go walking around drunk trying to shoot.
Please
we're not gonna do that.
Yeah. So, but so I think that was the other part, is just enjoying it, and the camaraderie of it all is not. That goes a long way, so.
For sure.
Yep. I would say this was the safest podcast we've ever had because everybody's prepared. Nobody's hopping through the window today because they know who's in the building. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, hell.
But yeah, I'm just, I appreciate everybody. I appreciate you, Eric, for coming on. I always appreciate Tony. You know what I'm saying? Appreciate Jason. I appreciate everybody, man. It's such a blessing to have this episode, and I feel it's very important for people to just, if they have questions, they see things in the Bible, and I feel like we did a pretty good job at answering a lot of those questions together, because that's the beauty of having people come together, because like I said, like certain answers I don't have. So I bring other people that are well equipped to answer certain questions, and we can get in whatever answer we come up with. I can go with that now. You know what I'm saying? So it's just always fun. That's why this is here, so we can even bring differing positions together, and anybody that's willing to have their mind changed on things. I feel like that is the most productive conversation you can have. So somebody wanted to tell me that we should have more faith and we shouldn't have guns. I'm not totally against what you're saying, but I feel like we've all done enough research to where it'd be impossible, but if it were possible, it would take a long time and you had to really come with it, and I'm listening, I'm all ears, and I think we're all ears, because we're not worried about if our position is faulty, because just,
if you can change my mind, go ahead and try.
Yeah.
Good luck.
And I'm not worried. I'm not, shaken or scared or anything. You bring the information, I'm totally listening to you. So,
you bring the information, you better come with some facts. We're gonna bring the facts down and statistics, solve that problem.
That's right.
Yeah. Yeah, just don't get mad at me when I bring my facts. 'Cause,
That's it.
you know, if I was a angry gun owner, you probably think I would shoot you with something. You know what I'm saying? I don't know what type of paranoia goes on with people, and you know that could be a whole nother episode when certain people around. I say this last thing, like being on top of a building, you know, with someone else. You gotta really trust that person. That you gotta know them, but you know. So you know, I just feel like there's just a way. Like with everything, there's just a way to do it. You know, for most things, there's a balance you gotta have. There is a way to do it. I am very slow to say just completely no to something. I think there's just a way to do it for most things. But yeah, I appreciate everybody for coming on. Everybody that's watching. You know, hope everybody is safe and don't just go out and start shooting. You know, because my first time shooting a gun was like a roller coaster to me.
Man, you should have told that story, man. Why you held out on that story, man? I don't know why you held out on that story.
I know. Tony didn't help.
Why
me
you
out
held
so
out on that
much,
story, man?
Yeah. Well, we can go ahead and say it before we end. But it was a good experience, man. Me shooting the gun for the first time. I didn't understand like they say those movies where they got the gun and they doing the side shooting, you know. Like I didn't understand. I was like, I heard somebody say like, bro, can't nobody really be doing like that. So I heard that and I was like, man, you know, like when I actually shot it, I was like, I get it. Like it's, and I had a little, what gun was it?
It was a Glock 19.
Glock 19. I had, you know, and it
Perfect.
It
Yep.
was, you know.
Let me tell you something. He
Yeah.
he listened to me. He followed instructions. I'm talking about he was getting it. You know, I'm talking about he was punching it.
Whenever I feel a little nervous about something, even before the day, I have to research as much as I can. And y'all might think, well, that's just some simple, you know. But me starting out, I have to, they said, put the gun, face it towards the range at all times. If you face it towards something, that means you are ready to destroy it. So that's why, like, you got to have that mindset. I mean, if you're facing it, that's something that you're about to destroy. So don't face it at it unless you're ready to destroy it. And you know, close one door. You what is it? You make sure that door's closed before you go out the other door.
Yeah.
You know, so I'm looking up all my rules, because I don't want to be that dumb person. I looked up all these videos where people are going through these little what is it called, where they have the areas where you do you see the hostage and you know, you did it on the TV screen.
Yeah, matter of fact.
Course,
I had a friend of mine. He's my NRA. He was my NRA training counselor. Actually, Gunny on Dwayne Cheney. He has his company's called Always On Point LLC. You know, he has this big virtual simulation system. Man, this thing's awesome.
Yeah.
So yeah, I went through the whole lane. We had the whole bank scenario and everything. So I got a bunch of don't shoot targets, police officers, hostages, and everything. You know, like that.
Yeah, and they got the
he's right there, Covington, off of 278.
The live courses, the live courses. I saw, you know, those shooting courses. I saw people like they might have dropped the gun, they might have slipped, and they're immediately like, whoa. You know what I'm saying? They let you know, like, hey, like I think you said it before the range. They're like, don't get mad. We are going to, you know, get loud when we need to get loud. We're not mad at you, but we got to make sure. Like, this has got to. So, I'm telling you, the rules that people take when it comes to gun safety and stuff is extreme. So, it's like, we do not take it lightly. And I heard Stephen Crowder say this. When somebody owns a gun, the last thing we want to do is shoot it at somebody. You know what I'm saying? That's the last thing we want to do is even protect or to fire back at somebody with a gun. That's the last thing we want to do. It is literally just for protection, like for safety. It has nothing. Like, we don't buy no gun because we want to shoot it at somebody.
It should be the final option.
Right.
Yeah.
It should be the last option.
And if it does come down to, you also want to make sure you have good insurance, good concealed carry insurance, like USCCA. They're great. You also want to you need to know your state laws too. You need to be educated on your state laws.
Yeah.
When is the use of deadly force justified?
Right.
Yep. And you're just training for that moment, you know, where something could happen. And I've thought about this even at, you know, I mean, we could keep this going, I'm telling you. But I thought about this. I thought about this at our church, like me sitting at my piano, like if I ever needed to, where would I put my gun, what would I, you know what I'm saying? So
On
that's
your body.
why you said where?
On your body.
On my body, yeah.
Gone through hours of use of force.
Man, let me tell you something.
He knows what I'm talking about.
One day when we get a chance, we'll do a live on a everyday carry breakdown. You can have me and everybody. We do a whole everyday carry breakdown.
Yeah. Yeah, and I like the scenario training.
Oh yeah,
for sure.
So what we can do, cause I got access to South River Gun Club. I started teaching class over there, not here and there. I got clients going over there. That's what I was at earlier. Like I said, we do a lot of running and gun over there. I tell people don't bring nothing less than about 500 rounds of ammo.
Yeah, man, it'll be a blessing to never have to use it and just know it just because.
You can always come over to my place and shoot too. I got a range at my house.
Oh yeah,
you can come over to my place. We'll run some machine guns. Want to shoot a
machine
gun?
Do that and
yo.
have a little jam
Why not? Yeah,
man,
exactly.
Hey man, y'all don't know what's.
He got the spot now.
Y'all don't know what's. I just want you to just do that one little run, man.
Play a little bit.
Just that one.
One little run, you got to break us out of here, man.
Yeah,
all right.
yeah. We gonna go out with a bang.
Y'all gonna
all right.
It was
just a little. So I had to let them know, man. I'll get you to pick it.
Yeah. I love guitar. I've been playing about 30 years. I just enjoy it. Uh-oh. Oops. That was a play foul. All right. You want me to play a little bit?
Let's see. Matter of fact. Oh, yeah.
Go ahead. Steady it out for him, Eric. Steady it out for him. Steady out for him so you hit that note.
Ooh, yeah. yeah. What? Hey man, we're gonna be here all night, man. We're gonna be here all night.
I gotta go put Judy to bed, man.
The JAK Podcast. You don't know JAK unless you watch JAK. You feel me? All right, man. Well, God bless y'all.
It's been a blast, gentlemen. It's been a blast.
Hey, man. God bless y'all, man. Let's get out of here.
Yeah, it's been a blast. Oh, God.